Lin Huang, having been born in the 26th century in his previous life, met his demise at the hands of Zheng Shiyue. In this life, reborn in the 23rd century, he embarks on a journey of defying destiny and begins a markedly different existence. In a moment of clarity, he seems to hear a thunderous roar, and suddenly, he sits up as if propelled by an unseen force. Surveying his surroundings, Lin Huang is astounded to discover himself unscathed, reclining on a pristine bed within a meticulously cleaned abode, devoid of any trace of bloodshed. Am I not dead? Where's this place? Lin Huang exclaims, his eyes widening in disbelief as he gazes into the void before him, murmuring in astonishment, "Who could have rescued me?" Suddenly, a haunting scene flashes before his eyes. Zheng Shiyue, in collusion with 3 corpse kings, mercilessly slaughters him and his 2 brothers. Lin Lang, possessing the bloodline of the immortal celestial wolf, is torn apart and devoured by the corpse king, leaving no remnants behind, while the indomitable Vajra, endowed with the ancient Buddha's attributes, is brutally obliterated. Yet, miraculously, he remains alive. What could this possibly mean? Lin Huang is engulfed in confusion. He clenches his fists, consumed by a frenzied desire for vengeance. His brothers must not have died in vain, and that vile woman must pay. The thought of Zheng Shiyue's exquisite visage evokes a tumult of emotions within him, oscillating between complex feelings and an overwhelming hatred. What is happening? Lin Huang stumbles out of bed, losing his balance and crashing to the floor. He screams in despair, realizing that all his strength has vanished. In a post-apocalyptic world, how can one survive without power? How can he exact his revenge? Lin Huang is momentarily paralyzed, his mind a blank slate. Unable to accept this harsh reality, a revelation that strikes him like a thunderbolt to the heart. Gradually regaining composure, he rises and reaches for a water jug, only to freeze upon noticing a calendar hanging before him, indicating the date as June 5th, 2311. It feels as if a storm has erupted within his mind, leaving him utterly bewildered. How could this be? The date of his demise at Zheng Shiyue's hands was in 2611. Why does the calendar display 2311? A fierce internal struggle ensues, and after a moment, he grasps a terrifying truth. He has traversed time. He has journeyed back 3 centuries. Having lived over 300 years in his previous life, he possesses some recollection of the events of 2311, a time shortly after the onset of calamity. My brothers, since I have crossed over, I shall ensure that your sacrifices are not in vain. Lin Huang solemnly vows to himself. He is determined to reconnect with his comrades, to enhance his strength, and to alter the course of history, ensuring they do not perish in the future. The disaster erupted at the end of May, and now, in June, the world is in a state of frantic escape, with over 70% of animals and humans mutated into terrifying monstrosities, while the remainder faces constant peril. In the apocalypse, the foremost priority is survival. He is now an ordinary person and must secure adequate food and water, as well as weapons for defense. While seeking refuge from zombies and other creatures, a rumble of hunger strikes him. Having found no food in the room, he must venture outside. Upon exiting, he is confronted by the sight of a decayed corpse, unrecognizable yet discernible as that of a woman, likely deceased for over half a month. A gaping wound had been torn open in her back, revealing a ghastly sight of stark white bones, with numerous pale maggots writhing within, twisting their grotesque, corpulent bodies. Not far away lay a corpse. At this moment, such remains were a rarity, for most of the deceased had long since been devoured by monsters, leaving behind only severed fingers and dismembered limbs. A corpse in such a complete state was an unusual find. Yet, this particular body had decayed to such an extent that it would likely be unpalatable to any creature that might approach. Uncertain of whether any monsters lurked nearby, he treaded cautiously, surveying his surroundings with great care. Suddenly, a piercing howl shattered the silence, and several yellow shadows appeared 10 meters away, glaring at him with fierce, menacing eyes. Upon closer inspection, Lin Huang realized they were 3 so-called golden dogs. Despite their name, they were merely 3 yellow canines. But once they evolved to a higher level, they would transform into golden divine hounds, formidable enough to contend with the likes of a corpse king. Instinctively, Lin Huang swung his hand forward, only to find it empty. He had long lost his former formidable strength and was now merely an ordinary man. Even a single golden dog posed a significant threat to his life. Was it truly so tragic that he would face death so soon after his arrival in this new world? Tears of despair welled up within him. Abruptly, one of the golden dogs leaped towards him, its claws stained with blood, exuding a horrific stench. The size of its paws was reminiscent of a calf, creating a striking visual impact. Its claws were larger than Lin Huang's hands, glistening ominously with a dark sheen, clearly imbued with a dreadful corpse poison. Lin Huang understood that he could not afford to be injured by its claws. Even a minor scratch could drastically increase the likelihood of his transformation into a zombie, condemning him to a fate as a mindless creature. Even if a zombie were to evolve into a corpse king, regaining memories was a rare occurrence, with only one emerging from hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of zombies. As the first golden dog lunged at Lin Huang, the other two did not follow directly, but instead circled around him from behind. Faced with the onslaught of the golden dog, Lin Huang's expression changed. In his current state, his combat prowess was no different from that of an ordinary person. His only advantage lay in the memories and combat experience accumulated over centuries. Yet, such experience could not directly translate into combat power. His strength was akin to that of an average individual, and even his extraordinary swordsmanship could not be wielded effectively now. The golden dog's enormous claw loomed larger in his vision, but in that moment, Lin Huang's mind sharpened with clarity. Centuries of battle had forged within him a tenacious combat instinct, allowing him to remain remarkably composed in the face of peril. Suddenly, he noticed an iron rod a few steps away and rolled towards it. With a sharp sound, the golden dog's claw tore a gash in his clothing. Yet it missed its mark. The force of its attack sent debris flying, stirring up clouds of dust. Cold sweat drenched Lin Huang's back, a wave of dread washing over him as he realized how narrowly he had escaped. If he had retained his former power, such a golden dog would have been effortlessly crushed beneath his finger. Yet now, he genuinely found himself at a loss against it. After a brief examination of his back, Lin Huang found no blood. Fortunately, he had not been clawed by the creature, or the situation would have escalated dramatically. It was evident that his strength was lacking, having been cornered so pathetically by three creatures at the bottom of the food chain. Grasping a metal rod with urgency, he had no time for contemplation as he swung it fiercely behind him. The sound of impact was dull, and Lin Huang felt as though his arm might fracture. The beast provided him no respite. After missing its first attack, it lunged forward, relentlessly pursuing him. Lin Huang's battle instincts were far superior to those of an average person. Most would have been torn to shreds without even registering the danger. The golden dog possessed astonishing strength, leaving his right arm numb and weak, nearly incapacitating him. Nevertheless, this strength inadvertently hindered the golden dog's assault, granting Lin Huang a brief moment of respite. Yet, the other two golden dogs had already flanked him, cutting off his escape route. Chapter 2. The battle with the golden dogs. The three golden dogs surrounded Lin Huang in a triangular formation, their mouths dripping with saliva, eyes glinting with predatory intent. Lin Huang's expression turned grave. He understood that he was in serious trouble. His own power paled in comparison to these creatures, and he could scarcely hope to defeat even one. The golden dogs wasted no time, leaping towards him from a distance of 10 meters, their claws gleaming with a dark sheen like daggers. In Lin Huang's eyes, the claws of the golden dogs appeared magnified. His formidable soul granted him heightened perception, rendering their movements excruciatingly slow, akin to watching a film in slow motion. This very awareness had allowed him to deflect the first golden dog's attack. Yet his physical strength was insufficient to match his neural reaction speed, rendering him vulnerable to their strikes. He estimated the force behind the golden dog's leaps to be around 400 to 500 pounds, an unmatchable force for an ordinary human. His right arm remained painfully numb, and he had switched the iron rod to his left hand. It was almost laughable. He, a once mighty king, found himself in such a predicament, cornered by three mere dogs. At this juncture, contemplating anything else was superfluous. Preserving his life was of utmost importance, for many tasks awaited him. Determined not to succumb to fate, he resolved to resist vigorously. As the three golden dogs leaped towards him, Lin Huang sprang into action, loosening his right arm. Although he could not muster a powerful attack, he was still capable of evasive maneuvers. At that moment, he truly realized the frailty of his body. His agility was rendered ineffective. Had he possessed a physique akin to that of a special forces soldier, combined with the martial skills and techniques from his memories, he would have been confident in his ability to vanquish these golden dogs. However, he lacked muscle memory. This body was merely a remnant from over 300 years ago, or perhaps it had been utterly shattered in the future, leaving him with only the strength of his soul. The three golden dogs advanced with a pincer formation, and he could not afford to be enveloped, for a simultaneous assault from them would spell certain death. In that fleeting moment, Lin Huang formulated a strategy. Centuries of combat experience had become ingrained in his very being. With a sudden slip beneath his feet, his body inexplicably glided over 2 meters. His leg muscles immediately succumbing to a painful ache, bordering on numbness. He could not help but chuckle bitterly to himself. Had he possessed his previous physique, such a motion would have propelled him at least 20 meters, carving a trench into the ground with his feet. Without the benefit of prolonged training, such exertion would undoubtedly inflict considerable harm upon his body. Yet in this moment of peril, he could afford no such concerns. Preserving his life took precedence. rendering the physical toll trivial in comparison. The nearest golden dog, its paw now scarcely a meter away, emitted a foul stench from its maw that incited a wave of nausea within him. At that distance, the speed of the golden dog would close the gap in mere fractions of a second, leaving him no time to react. Fortunately, his instinct for combat remained intact. Without a second thought, he collided his iron rod with the golden dog's paw. In an instant, a searing pain shot through his left hand. This time, he had not struck with full force, and although the injury was not severe, it caused him considerable distress. His strike merely hindered the golden dog momentarily, failing to inflict any real damage, yet only served to enrage it further. With a sudden lunge, the golden dog pounced again, joined by two others. Ignoring the pain radiating from his arm, Lin Huang dashed forward, his eyes fixed on a house a few meters ahead, its door ajar. He had to reach the sanctuary within before the other two golden dogs could close in. Hesitation could mean his demise. A piercing, agonizing howl erupted behind him, and he could even sense the warm breath of the golden dog upon him. Lin Huang dared not look back, disregarding the tearing pain in his legs as he sprinted with all his might. Abruptly, a surge of danger coursed through his back, accompanied by an inexplicable sharp sensation, an instinct honed through centuries of combat experience, undeniably effective. Yet, he could not afford any delay. A moment's hesitation would lead to being torn apart by the three golden dogs. However, reckless abandon could also invite an attack from behind. Suddenly, a glimmer caught his eye. A wooden plank lay to his right. Despite the numbness in his right hand, he summoned all his strength to grasp the plank, positioning it defensively behind him. With a resounding crash, as he pressed the plank against his back, a violent shockwave erupted from behind. He felt multiple paws striking the wood, and a bitter taste filled his throat as he coughed up blood, staining his clothing crimson. The sheer force of the impact propelled him forward, and he fought to aim his body toward the doorframe. Upon entering, he exerted every ounce of energy to kick the door shut with a resounding bang. The reinforced steel door sealed shut, and fortunately, the automatic lock functioned properly. Had it failed, he would have faced certain doom. In that fleeting moment, the golden dog slammed against the door, causing it to shudder violently, yet it stood firm, successfully barring the three creatures from entry. Convinced of his temporary safety, Lin Huang felt the tension release from his body, and an overwhelming wave of fatigue washed over him, leading him into unconsciousness. An hour later, Lin Huang slowly awakened, his entire body aching. Fortunately, he had regained a considerable amount of strength. Struggling to rise, he began to survey his surroundings. This appeared to be a storage room, filled with a disarray of items. Among the clutter, he discovered some ropes and several iron rods. However, his injuries were not yet healed. Even with weapons, he would be unable to fight effectively. If only he had a firearm. Given his marksmanship, despite lacking muscle memory, handling a few golden dogs would have been a trivial task. There were no bows or crossbows here, and engaging the three golden dogs in close combat in his current condition would undoubtedly be suicidal. Although he possessed the skill to craft arrows, without materials, it would be futile. Suddenly, his gaze fell upon the tangled nylon ropes on the ground, and a spark of inspiration ignited within him. An hour later, he had fashioned numerous nooses, which he brought to the doorway. He knocked on the door, and immediately, a cacophony of growls and impacts echoed from the other side, indicating that the creatures were still outside. Lin Huang opened the window and leapt down, clutching several nooses. He maneuvered around and spotted the three golden dogs crouched at the entrance of the storage room. Taking cover, he cautiously approached, placing the nooses on the ground, and with a flick of his wrist, sent one flying towards the golden dogs. His heart raced with anxiety. The success of his endeavor hinged on this moment. Despite his numerous injuries, he held one significant advantage over the golden dogs, his intellect. While he could not overpower them in direct combat, he could employ cunning strategies and tools, such as the essence of humanity. Only a fool would charge recklessly into battle. The noose whistled through the air, startling the golden dogs, who turned to face him and, upon spotting Lin Huang, charged with ferocious howls. The noose landed perfectly on one of the dogs' heads. But before Lin Huang could pull it back, the creature swiftly turned its head, causing the noose to slip off. Stunned, Lin Huang watched as the three golden dogs lunged toward him. Chapter 3. Developing potential. Seeing the three golden dogs barreling toward him, Lin Huang was taken aback and fled in haste. The golden dogs, unable to comprehend why Lin Huang was outside, were too dim-witted to realize he could emerge through the window. A howl erupted as one of the golden dogs stepped onto a noose he had set up, becoming ensnared. It thrashed violently, but the more it struggled, the tighter the noose became. He had placed 3 nooses on the ground, and only one golden dog had fallen victim to them. Before he could even pull the first noose, it had already been dislodged, but thankfully, the one on the ground had succeeded in capturing a dog, while the other 2 continued their frenzied pursuit, their roars thunderous. Lin Huang sprinted toward the window, making a daring leap back inside. The golden dogs attempted to follow, but one was struck hard by an iron rod, yelping in pain and retreating from the window in fear. The window of the storage room was made of alloy, and the golden dogs clawed at it, producing a grating sound, yet they could not break through, their frustrated howls echoing outside. Breathing heavily, Lin Huang was momentarily overwhelmed by the adrenaline of the close encounter. His body still felt too weak. He resolved to diligently train his physique, aspiring to regain the strength he possessed in his previous life, so he could rewrite the course of history. Upon witnessing the scene, Lin Huang swiftly opened the door, seizing an iron rod and a small knife before dashing outside. He had presumed that the two golden dogs, unable to enter through the window, would return to guard the door. However, to his astonishment, they remained stationed by the window. The golden dog he had ensnared was still outside, and he needed to deal with it promptly, lest it wriggle free over time. Upon exiting, he observed the golden dog still bound, its struggles tightening the ropes further. It incessantly gnawed at the bindings, which were perilously close to being severed. The noose was fashioned from 3 strands of nylon rope, exceptionally resilient. Even a bull would find escape impossible. Yet, this creature's teeth were remarkably sharp, and within mere minutes, it was on the verge of biting through. Lin Huang felt a surge of urgency. Should this entity break free, all his efforts would be rendered futile, and capturing it again would prove exceedingly difficult once its companions grew wary. Thus, he resolved to eliminate it. Gripping the iron rod firmly, he charged silently towards the golden dog's head, delivering a brutal strike. Although only one leg was bound, the golden dog retained its mobility, able to maneuver within a limited radius of 3 to 4 meters, posing a considerable threat to Lin Huang. Upon witnessing the man approach, the golden dog bared its formidable teeth and lunged at him, only to be yanked back by the taut rope. Lin Huang swung the iron rod relentlessly at the creature's head, its anguished cries echoing through the air as it remained oblivious to evasion, fixated solely on biting him. And thus it could only endure the assault. Hearing the golden dog's piercing wails, Lin Huang understood the urgency of his task. The other 2 golden dogs would soon arrive. He needed to eliminate this one first, or at the very least, incapacitate it. Ignoring his own injuries, he positioned himself just out of reach of the dog's bites and relentlessly struck its head with the iron rod, delivering over a dozen blows in mere seconds. When he finally regained awareness, he found the golden dog sprawled on the ground, blood pouring from its mouth, its breathing shallow and labored, clearly on the brink of death. Once he grasped the severity of the situation, a wave of fatigue washed over his arms. Yet, Lin Huang was not satisfied, fearing the creature might survive. He knew the 2 others would require more time to arrive. Thus, he struck its head a few more times to ensure it breathed its last. With a swift motion, he used the knife to slice open the golden dog's head, extracting a transparent solid, the heart core. This was his objective. Possessing it would enhance his strength, transforming him into a biochemical entity. Having accomplished his goal, he caught sight of the other 2 golden dogs approaching. Without a moment's hesitation, Lin Huang retreated into the storage room, securing the door as the 2 golden dogs howled and battered against it. At last, he had obtained the heart core, albeit at a great cost. As he calmed himself, he realized his hands felt almost alien, having overexerted his already injured limbs in the fervent endeavor to slay the golden dog. Now, all his injuries had erupted in pain. Gazing at the heart core, which resembled amber, Lin Huang wiped it briefly before swallowing it whole. Contrary to his expectations, the golden dog's heart core melted upon contact with saliva, transforming into an ethereal mist that seamlessly entered Lin Huang's body. In his previous life, Lin Huang had lost count of how many heart cores of far superior quality he had consumed. This sensation was remarkably familiar and instinctive. Yet, never had a heart core left such an indelible mark on his memory, for this was a life-saving core. Once ingested, it immediately converted into pure energy, assimilated by his body, which then underwent astonishing transformations. As time elapsed, the remaining 2 golden dogs lingered outside, persistently battering against the security door and windows. Lin Huang sensed the changes within himself, feeling an increase in strength. He realized that he had now become a biochemical entity and was embarking once again on the path of cultivation. An hour later, a fleeting look of disappointment crossed Lin Huang's face. His innate talent had not undergone any further evolution. Typically, upon transforming into a biochemical entity, there was a chance of awakening certain attributes, yet it was evident that he had not. Nevertheless, the restoration of his stamina was commendable, and his strength had doubled, marking him as a low-tier biochemical entity, finally granting him a modicum of self-defense. It was time to confront the troubles outside. A glimmer of determination flashed in Lin Huang's eyes as he equipped himself with a lasso and a weapon. stepping outside to test whether his newfound strength could vanquish the two golden dogs. Upon his emergence, the two golden dogs charged at him. Lin Huang swung a metal rod at one while deftly casting the lasso at the other. Moments later, he stood holding two transparent heart cores, smeared with a hint of blood. Although he appeared somewhat disheveled, he had successfully dealt with the two bothersome creatures. Returning to the storage room, he consumed the two heart cores, feeling the transformative energy coursing through his body. The amber-hued cores converted into energy, enhancing his physique. While he bolstered his strength, he remained oblivious to the throngs of zombies encroaching upon the hotel, gradually surrounding it. Deep underground, a colossal figure traversed the depths, resembling a gigantic pangolin. Chapter 4. The unremarkable devouring attribute. With his eyes tightly shut, Lin Huang diligently refined the two heart cores. The first core had transformed him into a biochemical entity. The subsequent two, while unlikely to elevate his rank, promised to amplify the energy within him. Suddenly, he sensed a peculiar airflow rising slowly from his lower abdomen, akin to the warmth of moxibustion enveloping him. Although invisible and intangible, Lin Huang instinctively understood it as a form of energy reminiscent of qigong, a mysterious force that could undergo numerous bizarre transformations, ultimately wielding unimaginable power in later stages. Curious about the nature of this attribute, Lin Huang focused his thoughts on his lower abdomen, gradually attempting to harness that elusive energy. Familiar with this sensation, he had experienced it in his previous life, albeit with merely an ordinary agility attribute. Unlike his brothers, the Wolf King and the King Kong, who possessed extraordinary capabilities. Nevertheless, he had carved out a formidable reputation through his agility alone. He pondered what attributes might manifest now, and whether he could be granted something more extraordinary. If he could acquire the legendary control or undead attributes, that would be ideal. He had witnessed a godlike bio-warrior with control attributes single-handedly battling three great corpse kings without faltering. Despite his formidable power in his past life, he could suppress a single corpse king but would struggle against two, and being besieged by all three would lead to swift demise. This illustrated the sheer power of the control attribute. In its advanced stages, control attributes could transform everything into weapons, wielding unparalleled might as long as the wielder's willpower was strong. This was not something to be envied lightly, and Lin Huang felt deep regret for possessing such an ordinary attribute. Had he possessed a more powerful attribute, he might not have met his end at the hands of Zhang Shuriwei and the three great corpse kings, nor would his two brothers have suffered the same fate. Thus, he was keenly interested in what attribute he would receive, as powerful attributes were rare and precious. If he were to be bestowed with a mighty attribute, his chances of becoming a strong individual would surpass those with ordinary attributes, given the extreme scarcity of such potent abilities. In his recollections, control attributes ranked among the most formidable. Of course, there were many other strange and fearsome attributes he had only heard of, such as spatial or the dreadfully powerful time attributes. These were legendary and not guaranteed to exist. Beyond these, there were practical fire and ice attributes capable of altering environments. Fire could provide warmth when cold, while ice could cool down excessive heat, both exhibiting remarkable destructive potential. In his past life, he had witnessed an ice attribute warrior, in a fit of rage, freeze everything within a radius of several hundred meters, encasing all beings weaker than himself in ice. Yet, he was uncertain of what attribute would soon reveal itself to him. Lin Huang was filled with excitement, albeit tinged with apprehension. He concentrated his will to control the energy within him. Generally speaking, the rarer and more powerful the attribute, the slower its awakening. His willpower was exceptionally strong. If, like in his previous life, he were to awaken an ordinary attribute, it would have already burst forth by now. Yet it had not, leading him to firmly believe that it must be a superior attribute, at least significantly stronger than what he possessed before. He was not in a hurry, patiently coaxing forth his willpower to stimulate the awakening. Gradually, he closed his eyes, uncertain of how long this process would take. Beneath the surface, the shadow continued to drift. While outside the hotel, an ever-growing horde of zombies gathered, numbering over 100. Should they encircle him, given his current strength, escape would be impossible. However, Lin Huang had succumbed to deep meditation, oblivious to the unfolding events outside, wholly focused on awaiting the emergence of his attribute. After half an hour, Lin Huang's eyes shot open. He sensed that the energy had finally accumulated to a significant level, slowly coursing through his meridians, poised to manifest in his hands. Lin Huang suddenly felt a throbbing pain in his hand, as if something were about to burst forth, tearing through him. His nerves became taut with tension. With a soft pop, a dark energy emerged from his right hand, immediately exuding a chilling aura. What kind of attribute is this? Lin Huang mused, for it was the first time he had encountered such a phenomenon. It was not the dark attribute he had expected. He knew very well that the dark attribute twisted surrounding light. He vividly recalled a super god-level bio-warrior from his past life, whose power plunged an area of 1,000 meters into darkness, a truly terrifying sight. The dark attribute was among the most formidable, rivaling even space and time. Gazing at his right hand, which emanated a cold, sinister energy, disbelief flickered in Lin Huang's eyes. Gradually, 2 words surfaced in his mind: devour. He sensed a subtle yet profound devouring aura. He had seen the devouring attribute only once before. Unlike other attributes that displayed immense power from the onset, this one seemed auxiliary, lacking immediate utility, though it might reveal its true power in the future. The devouring attribute, while mysterious, felt rather lackluster. A wave of discontent washed over Lin Huang. He had anticipated a formidable ability, only to find it disappointingly trivial. His spirits plummeted. Perhaps this attribute harbored secrets unknown to him. He could only reassure himself. Grateful for his strong soul perception that allowed him to recognize this attribute, others might not have even manifested half of its potential. Suddenly, a tremor shook the ground, startling Lin Yi, who was oblivious to the cause. Upon stepping outside, he beheld a colossal, armored creature erupting from the earth nearby. What on earth is happening? Lin Yi gasped, bewildered by the unfolding chaos. Time was of the essence. He needed to flee. Disaster had only just begun, and this powerful monster had emerged. The creature resembled an immense pangolin, charging forth without a glance at Lin Huang, directly targeting a rotting corpse he had previously encountered. In addition to the female corpse, 2 male bodies lay about 10 meters away, dwarfed by the giant pangolin. To Lin Huang's astonishment, the creature seemed intensely interested in the decaying remains. Could it be a scavenger? He pondered, and in the next moment, he watched as a long, slender tongue shot from the pangolin's snout, piercing through the corpse. A horrific wail echoed, and the walls beside the pangolin crumbled as a thick, black tail struck with ferocity. Lin Huang then discerned that the pangolin's tongue had impaled a small, snake-like creature, which writhed and shrieked in agony. Suddenly, a horde of zombies burst through the wall, leaving Lin Huang pale with terror. Chapter 5. The woman of the enormous pangolin was struck violently by the colossal black python, sending it hurtling backward until it crashed against a wall. The small snake dangling from its tongue was swiftly devoured in one gulp. The python hissed furiously, its powerful tail striking again, while its gaping maw revealed 2 menacing fangs, venom spraying forth with reckless abandon in a desperate display of ferocity. Lin Huang finally comprehended the grim reality. No wonder there were several corpses here. They served as breeding grounds for the python's offspring. The pangolin had dared to consume a young python, which explained the serpent's fierce retaliation. This revelation struck him with astonishment. Realizing that the other corpses likely contained more young pythons, he felt a chill run down his spine, grateful that he had refrained from disturbing the bodies. Had he provoked the young pythons within, the python's wrath would have been directed at him instead of the pangolin. The thought left him drenched in cold sweat, acutely aware that his frail form would stand no chance against a single strike from the massive serpent. Remarkably, the young python seemed oblivious to the fierce battle raging outside, perhaps still in their incubation phase, akin to being nestled within their eggs. It became clear why the python had grown so formidable. It was a predator that feasted upon human flesh. The pangolin's keen sense of smell had detected the young pythons, leading it to consume one without hesitation. He pieced together the presence of the corpses, clearly left behind by the python, and understood why no other creatures dared to invade this territory. The python was simply too powerful, instilling fear in all others. Yet, he had not anticipated the audacious arrival of such a formidable pangolin. The python was lurking nearby. It wouldn't have returned so swiftly otherwise. As this realization dawned upon Lin Huang, he felt a torrent of sweat bead on his forehead, recognizing that he had been perilously close to danger all along. The moment the zombies entered, Lin Huang observed that they posed little threat. The real dangers were the pangolin and the python. If either were to turn their attention toward him, escape would be nearly impossible. He would stand no chance, even if 10 of him were to combine their strength against either of these titans. Yet, these colossal beings, having noticed Lin Huang, likely regarded him as nothing more than a feeble zombie, dismissing him entirely, akin to 2 lions engaged in battle, oblivious to an ant watching from the sidelines. However, a horde of zombies surged through the breach created by the python, quickly filling the corridor. They, of course, had no intention of provoking the 2 giants. Upon spotting Lin Huang, they charged at him with guttural roars, though devoid of intelligence. Their instincts told them that the python and pangolin were adversaries they could not contend with. Seeing the 2 giants ignore him, Lin Huang breathed a sigh of relief. Yet his troubles escalated. He could not possibly fend off such a multitude of zombies. Normally, Seeking refuge indoors would be advisable in the face of a zombie horde. But with the threat of those two formidable creatures, the security door would offer little protection against either the python or the pangolin. If their battle concluded and they turned their attention to the door, aiding the zombies in breaching it, he would find himself in an utterly precarious predicament. In an instant, Lin Huang conceived a plan, dashing into the storage room and escaping through the window, as the front door was obstructed by zombies, rendering any escape impossible. The window led to a corridor, and it was through this very window that Lin Huang had previously emerged to slay the golden dog with a noose. He now had to flee from this position. Outside the window, a dozen zombies awaited him, although their numbers were significantly fewer than those at the front door. Armed with an iron rod and a knife, Lin Huang confronted the first zombie, swiftly severing its head. Black blood gushed forth, and without a moment's hesitation, he sprinted toward the staircase, unaware of which floor he occupied. The elevator was undoubtedly out of service, and he estimated he was on the second or first floor. Otherwise, the giant python would not have chosen this spot to breed. In truth, he was correct. It was indeed the second floor. Having enhanced his physique, his speed surpassed that of an average person by more than double, reaching the limits of human capability. The zombies, moving slower than a sprinting human, were incapable of catching up to him. However, their sheer numbers were alarming. Should he be surrounded, escape would be impossible. Meanwhile, the giant python and the pangolin were embroiled in a fierce battle. They appeared to be mortal enemies. The pangolin, fortified by its robust scales, withstood the python's assaults with apparent ease. It retaliated with ferocity, occasionally opening its jaws to bite the python and using its claws to pierce its skin. Yet its agility paled in comparison to that of the python. Most of the time, it endured the python's attacks, and the python's defenses were nearly as formidable, leaving the pangolin equally helpless. Suddenly, the pangolin ceased its attacks on the python, unperturbed by the latter's onslaught, and charged toward two nearby corpses instead. Its intelligence was evidently not lacking, as it chose to pursue the smaller python when it could not overcome the larger one. The giant python emitted a chilling shriek. Having already lost one of its young, if it were to lose another, it might well descend into madness. At the critical moment of his leap, Lin Huang glanced back, catching sight of the giant python viciously constricting the pangolin. He knew he could not intervene in their struggle. Preserving his own life took precedence. Without hesitation, he leapt from the second floor, landing amidst the throng of zombies on the street. Armed with the iron rod, he smashed the skull of one zombie and seized an opportunity to flee in a chosen direction. After running for a while, he finally eluded the horde of zombies, now encountering only scattered few, which posed no threat. As dusk approached, Lin Huang spotted a residential complex and decided to enter in search of sustenance. Although the heart core had replenished some of his stamina, it could not satiate his hunger. The energy of his enhanced body still relied on food. Suddenly, he heard a woman's voice calling from within, and shortly thereafter, he saw a woman sprinting toward him, pursued by a group of zombies. Dressed in jeans and a white shirt, her figure was alluring, even with the stains of blood adorning her attire. She was a captivating beauty, igniting a sense of desire within him, reminiscent of the alluring Zhang Shuriwa. Clearly, she had also noticed him, rushing directly toward him, while the horde of zombies closed in. Lin Huang's expression turned icy. As the other party rushed towards him without a care for their own safety, he felt an overwhelming impulse to turn and flee. If he were an ordinary person, attracting such a multitude of zombies would be tantamount to endangering lives. In that fleeting moment, he was struck by the realization that even if he chose not to intervene, he would never resort to taking another's life. The instances of repaying malice with virtue in the apocalypse were far too numerous. He had endured countless such experiences in his past life, where forging friendships proved to be an insurmountable challenge. Once, he had placed immense trust in Zhang Shuriwa, only to be met with betrayal and deceit. This betrayal had driven him to seek revenge against her without hesitation. Regardless of whether this woman acted with intention or ignorance, she had already incited his disdain. Were he an ordinary individual, her actions would have plunged him into a perilous situation. Just as he contemplated remaining an observer and distancing himself from both her and the horde of zombies, he suddenly noticed the wood shavings, small stones, and other minute objects around her levitating in an eerily mystical manner. Chapter 6. Saving a Life, What on Earth is Happening? Lin Huang's eyes widened as if he had witnessed something extraordinary. Indeed, it was a remarkable occurrence. While there are various abilities capable of causing objects to levitate, only two types can do so at this level: the nature affinity and the control affinity. Both are exceedingly formidable attributes, and once awakened, regardless of strength, individuals possessing such abilities would attract significant attention and cultivation from various organizations, for such attributes signify boundless potential for the future. Lin Huang fell silent, understanding the stark cruelty of the world. The concepts of nature affinity and control affinity are synonymous with A-grade attributes. In his past life, his agility affinity had earned him considerable renown, yet it remained merely a C-grade attribute, although it was among the better C-grade attributes. The disparity between it and A-grade attributes was astronomical. Unreservedly, any organization would unhesitatingly discard 1 or even 100 C-grade members. But they would go to great lengths to protect an A-grade individual, even at the cost of hundreds of C-grade or even B-grade lives. It is crucial to recognize that anyone possessing a B-grade attribute, as long as they do not fall, is destined to become a prominent figure in the future. This differs starkly from the fame Lin Huang had built primarily through his combat talent. Any B-grade individual could rely on their innate gifts to thrive, ensuring their status in their circles. As for A-grade, it represents an entirely different echelon of existence. Lin Huang gazed at the ostentatious display of levitating stones and wood shavings, feeling a wave of dismay wash over him, his thoughts spiraling into frustration. How ironic. He had just awakened a devouring affinity, only for a seemingly superlative talent from either the nature or control affinity to appear before him. This was nothing short of a slap in the face. Had he possessed an A-grade attribute in his previous life, with his combat skills, he would never have fallen to Zheng Shuriwei and her companions. He could have even turned the tables on them. Swallowing talent, Lin Huang let out a bitter laugh. This was an exceedingly rare attribute, one that few could awaken. The number of individuals who could manifest this ability was even fewer than those possessing A-grade attributes, akin to the legendary S-grade attributes. Yet, alas, this was not an S-grade attribute. Its rarity stemmed from its profound ineptitude, comparable to some severely deficient D-grade attributes, and even inferior to D-grade itself. To be precise, it was an attribute whose level could not be determined, for it was utterly ineffectual. Lin Huang had never heard of anyone awakening an E-grade attribute. And if such a classification existed, it would surely belong to the realm of the swallowing system, as the scarcity of E-grade attributes was indeed comparable to that of S-grade. Lin Huang even pondered whether he had, in a past life, annihilated an entire universe or been deceived by a woman, leading to the demise of himself and his 2 closest brothers. Now, in this life, he had been fortunate enough to be reborn, only to awaken such a bizarre swallowing system. These distracting thoughts swiftly dissipated as the young woman had already lured 2 formidable corpse beasts toward them. Indeed, they were powerful. For Lin Huang in his current state, even these 2 small D-grade corpse beasts were beyond his capacity to confront. Fortunately, he had just devoured the cores of 3 E-grade corpse beasts, which had significantly strengthened his physique. At the very least, escaping was not an insurmountable challenge. However, given the current situation, Lin Huang found himself unable to flee, as he faced a human with A-grade potential, an important asset for humanity, capable of growing into a formidable force that could slay countless corpse beasts. Salvation was at hand. Moreover, Lin Huang discerned that the young girl had not discovered him nor deliberately brought the corpse beasts over. It was likely that the abundance of rubble in this area allowed her to fully harness her A-grade talent. With this realization, Lin Huang felt even more compelled to assist her. Kicking up dust, he urged her to move quickly. Resolute, Lin Huang swiftly devised a simple plan, to raise a cloud of dust to momentarily obstruct the 2 D-grade corpse beasts. This might not affect the colossal serpent, but the primary target of the group remained the pangolin, thus they still had a chance. Xiaoyu was startled by Lin Huang's sudden appearance from the shadows. Once she recognized him as a person, she calmed somewhat. At that moment, Lin Huang stomped heavily to the ground, sending dust and debris flying. Although Xiaoyu's combat talent was rather lacking, she possessed a degree of instinct, promptly heeding Lin Huang's command. She manipulated the swirling dust, enveloping the 2 massive D-grade corpse beasts. The dense cloud of dust formed a colossal gray sphere, encasing the 2 creatures, which was the utmost extent of Xiaoyu's capabilities at that moment. To control the dust, she had cast aside everything that bore even a modicum of weight. It was evident that Lin Huang's strategy had met with great success. The 2 corpse beasts were momentarily delayed. As Lin Huang had surmised, the impact on the serpent-like corpse beast was minimal, but the pangolin was not so fortunate. Although the 2 corpse beasts were pursuing Xiaoyu, the primary adversary of the great serpent was indeed the pangolin. At this moment, seeing the pangolin ensnared, the serpent seized the opportunity to retaliate, exhaling a plume of impassioned breath that infused the swirling gray dust with a rich purple hue, exacerbating the pangolin's already distressing plight. Enraged, the pangolin confronted the serpent head-on. Unafraid of its formidable opponent, it had initially intended to stealthily consume a few serpent offspring, but the serpent was relentless. What of having devoured your young? Was it truly worth such enmity? The 2 corpse beasts, which had paused their battle upon Xiaoyu's arrival, now clashed once more with furious roars. If they did not flee now, when would they? Lin Huang swiftly grasped Xiao Yu and executed a rapid retreat. In his previous life, Lin Huang had been an agile awakener, honing his combat skills towards swiftness and speed. Although he was no longer of the agile type in this life, his techniques remained, allowing him to outpace ordinary awakens by a considerable margin. As Xiao Yu felt an immense force pulling her, her neck nearly strained beyond comfort. By the time she regained her senses, Lin Huang had already pulled her several dozen meters away. "Thank you for saving me," she said. Her cheeks flushed as they rounded a corner where Lin Huang halted. "Not at all," he replied, waving his hand dismissively while peeking around the corner to observe the battle behind them. It was evident that the two corpse beasts had resumed their conflict. "Could you please let go of my hand?" Xiao Yu asked, her face reddening further. Lin Huang hesitated, squeezing her cool, delicate hand, which only deepened her blush. With a smile, he released her grip, considering it a form of compensation. Lin Huang never engaged in unprofitable exchanges, the only exception being the dire consequence of losing his three brothers. After a few moments of observation, Xiao Yu could no longer contain herself and softly urged, "Shall we continue running? It would be unfortunate if those two corpse beasts caught up to us." "Run? No, we shall not flee. There are matters to attend to," Lin Huang replied, glancing at Xiao Yu. "You must assist me." Chapter 7. The plan to seize the head. Lin Huang addressed Xiao Yu. The two D-grade corpse beasts were currently engaged in a fierce struggle. He could not afford to squander such a splendid opportunity. Having now absorbed 3 E-grade corpse cores, Lin Huang's strength was likely at the pinnacle of E-grade. If he were to consume 2 D-grade cores, no, even just one, he could feasibly break through to D-grade. D-grade, a seemingly feeble existence, was nonetheless a pressing ambition for Lin Huang at this juncture. His ultimate aim was to ascend to B-grade as swiftly as possible. Presently, he had awakened with a consumption attribute akin to that of mechanical refuse, rendering the prospect of avenging himself against Zheng Shuriwei, who stood atop the corpse beast hierarchy, nearly impossible. Fortunately, it was 300 years prior, and Zheng Shuriwei was likely still a mere C-grade corpse beast at this time. As a physical enhancement warrior, there exists a distinct advantage in the early stages. However, this advantage dissipates once one reaches the A rank. Zheng Shuriwei possesses an A-rank talent with a rather enigmatic charm attribute. Should Zheng Shuriwei attain A rank and awaken her various abilities, the formidable Lin Huang, renowned for his physical prowess, would stand no chance against her. Conversely, if Lin Huang remains at B rank, he would have an 80% certainty of defeating Zheng Shuriwei. Therefore, it is imperative for Lin Huang to ascend to B rank swiftly, ideally before Zheng Shuriwei reaches A rank. Time is of the essence. With her A rank talent, Zheng Shuriwei is undoubtedly a prodigy among the corpse beasts, meticulously nurtured for greatness. If Lin Huang were to proceed with cautious, incremental enhancements, he would never catch up to her. This opportunity before him is one he cannot afford to squander. "You mean you intend to return and eliminate those 2 D-rank corpse beasts?" Xiao Yu inquired, astonishment evident in her tone. "Why not? It's an excellent opportunity," Lin Huang replied. After a brief silence, Xiao Yu nodded in agreement. "All right, let us exterminate them. I want one of their cores." In truth, Xiao Yu also had her sights set on the pangolin, desiring its core. Little did she know, the unfortunate pangolin had ventured to consume the offspring of a colossal serpent, inadvertently attracting its wrath. This predicament thrust Xiao Yu, who was already struggling, into dire straits. Were it not for Lin Huang's intervention, she would likely have become a meal for the 2 corpse beasts. As the flesh and blood of a human with A-rank talent is a substantial boon for the aberrant creatures. "Very well," Lin Huang affirmed. Approximately a minute later, he began to move, stealthily shifting along the wall towards their previous location. In that brief span, the 2 corpse beasts were likely on the brink of exhaustion. Even if they weren't, the duo's combined efforts would likely suffice, as Lin Huang's experience is not to be underestimated. Upon their return to the battlefield of the 2 corpse beasts, Lin Huang was taken aback by the scene before him. He had anticipated a fierce struggle, yet the reality exceeded his expectations in its severity. The massive serpent appeared to have gone mad, rearing its body like a tower, indiscriminately spewing venom, leaving no safe ground within a 5-step radius. Meanwhile, the pangolin fought valiantly, its armored scales withstanding the onslaught of venom as it launched relentless charges against the serpent, gradually wearing it down. "This is bad. The pangolin is in peril," Lin Huang exclaimed, realizing that, despite the creature's bravery, it was visibly faltering. Although the serpent was also in a precarious state, its condition was marginally better, thanks to its commendable defenses. In a state of urgency, Lin Huang understood that if the pangolin were to perish at the hands of the serpent, its core would automatically merge with the serpent's body, enhancing its strength and healing some of its injuries, a characteristic of battles among corpse beasts. Humans, upon slaying corpse beasts and consuming their cores, achieve a similar effect, though they must actively consume them, whereas corpse beasts do not require such an act. This head must be mine. Lin Huang was filled with fury. The core of the pangolin was what he desired most, as it was an exceptional enhancement for the physical body, surpassing even that of the great serpent. How could he stand idly by while the serpent snatched away the pangolin's core? The act of stealing kills was something Lin Huang utterly despised. What are you planning to do? Xiao Yu asked nervously, grasping Lin Huang, who was ready to charge forward. An aggressive assault. Lin Huang replied. What? Xiao Yu was utterly perplexed. It was a term from an ancient game, one that the girl could not comprehend. Lin Huang explained, in essence, it means to forcibly eliminate the pangolin under the cover of the serpent's venom and seize the core. But you cannot evade the serpent's all-encompassing venom. Just a trace of that toxin could take half your life, and without healing, you would surely perish within 2 days. Xiao Yu cautioned. Lin Huang was momentarily taken aback. Indeed, the venom was a persistent drain on life. After a moment of reflection, he gazed at the colossal serpent and noticed a bulging growth on its head. And a sudden spark of inspiration ignited within him. What is your accuracy like? Lin Huang inquired. Decent, Xiao Yu replied. Excellent. Do you see that thumb-sized growth on the serpent's head? With all your might, control a pebble to strike it. If you hit it, the serpent will be dazed for 1 to 2 seconds. In that fleeting second, I can swiftly claim the nearly defeated pangolin, and thereafter, the weakened serpent shall be yours. Lin Huang declared. He suddenly recalled the nature of this serpent. Such serpentine beasts possess a growth on their heads, an essential organ for their future evolution. While he was uncertain of its application, he knew that a strike to that growth could render the creature dazed for a brief period. Perhaps even with a mere gentle touch. In their youth, Lin Huang and his brothers had once captured such a serpent during an expedition for amusement. Whenever the serpent attempted to spray venom, the swift Lin Huang would gently touch the growth on its head, though these serpents typically guarded the growth during battle. How could a mere D-rank beast defend against the stealthy strikes of Lin Huang, who had already attained A-rank prowess? He recalled how they had played with that serpent for an entire night, filled with delight. Now, unexpectedly, that memory had become the key to their breakthrough. Furthermore, the serpent was currently rearing its body, indiscriminately spraying venom, leaving the growth exposed and unprotected. Perhaps it believed no one could breach the veil of its venom. Yet it was utterly unaware of the human genius lurking in the shadows, preparing to hunt it down. When I charge out, you strike that growth. Remember, the opportunity is singular. Should we fail, both of these beasts will undoubtedly flee. Lin Huang instructed. Understood. Xiao Yu nodded resolutely, as a pebble, no larger than a mung bean, began to levitate off the ground. In Chapter 8, Unexpected Developments, with the stone floating, Xiao Yu had already crouched down, squinting one eye. Lin Huang, observing Xiao Yu's professional sniping stance, was taken aback. This was undeniably impressive. It seemed this girl had engaged in her fair share of ambushes before. Her earlier claims of modesty regarding her accuracy were likely an understatement. However, Lin Huang felt a surge of confidence. If this pebble could strike true, he could seize the first blood before succumbing to the serpent's venom. With a determined stomp, Lin Huang propelled himself forward like a released arrow. His speed was remarkable. Yet Xiao Yu's shot was swifter. The pebble whizzed past Lin Huang's ear, striking the great serpent with a resounding thud, rendering it momentarily dazed. Such precision was truly extraordinary. Yet, this outcome was beyond Lin Huang's expectations. He had envisioned that as he approached the edge of the toxic zone, the serpent would be incapacitated, allowing him to cover the 5-step distance in a second's time and secure the pangolin's core. However, he now found himself 2 or 3 steps away from the toxic zone and 7 or 8 steps from the pangolin. Though it was merely a slight deviation of a couple of steps, it could grant the serpent the opportunity to react. And a single blast of venom could spell doom for Lin Huang, given his current strength. This was indeed a predicament. Yet, the opportunity was fleeting. And Lin Huang had no choice but to gamble everything. He instantaneously accelerated, employing a technique once reserved for B-rank practitioners, the swift step. Ignoring the strain on his muscles, he surged forward at an astonishing pace. The pangolin, caught off guard, had not anticipated that the 2 humans it had previously chased would dare return. Lurking in the shadows to ambush, it attempted to retaliate, but its current strength was insufficient to strike the swiftly moving Lin Huang. The pangolin's razor-sharp scales were deftly evaded by Lin Huang. Enraged, the pangolin unleashed its most potent attack, sacrificing a piece of its own armor. The pain was immense, and the force was formidable. However, realizing its attack had missed, the pangolin redirected its fury towards the dazed serpent before it. With a furious roar, the pangolin lamented. Is it truly necessary to escalate matters over a few of your offspring? Resolute in its vengeance, it declared, if I must perish, so shall you. Swiftly, 3 scales were launched towards the serpent. In its moment of confusion, the serpent sensed an ambush. It hastily shook off its dizziness, striving to retain a semblance of awareness. And astonishingly, before a second could pass, it regained its senses. In such a brief span, even with Lin Huang utilizing swift step, he would not be able to defeat the pangolin and claim the core. The most perilous aspect was that he was now within the range of the venom. Having just narrowly evaded 1 scale, Lin Huang found that retreating to dodge the incoming attack was no longer an option. He was unable to halt his momentum. Just as Lin Huang exclaimed that his life was at an end, 3 sharp scales pierced through the head of the colossal serpent. The moment the serpent opened its mouth, these 3 razor-sharp scales swiftly struck, entering its mouth and emerging through the back of its skull. Lin Huang was momentarily stunned, as was Xiao Yu in the distance. The unexpected turn of events arrived too swiftly for any reaction, making this unexpected stroke of fortune feel overwhelmingly abrupt. For Lin Huang, it was even more profound. He had snatched back a life at the brink of the Yellow Springs. In his surprise, Lin Huang did not hesitate to deliver a powerful strike to the nearly defenseless head of the pangolin, which had lost most of its protective scales. The blow was enough to shatter its skull, sending blood splattering everywhere. Lin Huang gasped, collapsing to the ground. With his E-rank strength and the frailty of his physical form, forcibly executing a B-rank technique had taken its toll. His leg muscles were completely torn, leaving him unable to stand. However, Lin Huang made a crucial discovery. If only his physical body were sufficiently robust, he could employ some of his former A-rank techniques even at a lower level. This realization was undoubtedly a significant advantage. It aligned perfectly with his current efforts to strengthen his body. Once he reached B-rank, it would be far easier to ambush Zheng Shirui. Xiao Yu approached Lin Huang. "Aren't you afraid I might kill you for your treasures?" she inquired. Yes. Lin Huang nodded vigorously, the latter 2 responses emerging as mere sounds. Observing Xiao Yu's bewildered expression, he rubbed his forehead. She was still just a child, and broaching such topics felt rather premature. After all, he had lived for over 300 years, now returned to a youthful age of merely 18. Xiao Yu appeared even younger, perhaps around 16 or 17. "Your accent is a bit peculiar. Where are you from?" Xiao Yu asked as she squatted down, aligning Lin Huang's legs and beginning to massage them with surprising skill. "I'm from Su province. The accent is a bit noticeable." Lin Huang waved his hand dismissively. "Your technique is quite impressive," he remarked, astonished. Having lived for over 3 centuries, this was an experience he had never encountered before. His 3 brothers had been so engrossed in martial arts that they had never sought companionship, allowing them to attain A rank before reaching 400 years of age and establishing remarkable reputations. Reflecting upon it now, 300 years had indeed squandered many pleasures of life. "My family has a long-standing tradition in traditional Chinese medicine. It's fairly decent," Xiao Yu said proudly. Before calamity struck, the Xiao family was renowned across the nation for their medical expertise, celebrated both domestically and abroad. There was a time when traditional Chinese medicine was held in low regard, until the Xiao family rediscovered and researched lost secret techniques, which slowly rekindled interest in the practice. Unfortunately, this bright period was short-lived, as the tide of the undead soon surged forth within just a few generations. The members of the Xiao family scattered in a frantic escape, or rather, all of humanity was in a state of desperate flight. It was not until the emergence of the first awakened human that the situation began to improve. As more awakened individuals appeared, along with the intervention of certain secret families from Huaxia, the tide of corpses was eventually brought under control. In stark contrast, the regions of Europe and America, as well as several East Asian nations surrounded by the sea, faced dire misfortune. They were either overly reliant on technology or were encircled by formidable aquatic undead beasts, resulting in catastrophic losses. Some smaller nations came perilously close to extinction. Thus, Huaxiao established a federation to unite all awakened beings across the globe in a collective effort to combat the onslaught of the undead. Xiao Yu was a member of the Xiao family, yet the members who had fled to this place had all perished. Xiao Yu's parents had sacrificed their lives years ago to protect her. Engaging in conversation with Lin Huang, Xiao Yu's eyes no longer reflected sorrow. Instead, they shone with an unwavering resolve, a fierce determination to confront the undead beasts head-on. Lin Huang mused that perhaps Xiao Yu's parents were unaware that their sacrifice not only preserved their daughter's life, but also safeguarded a genius with grade A awakening abilities for Huaxiao and the world. Xiao Yu's awakening had occurred after the death of her parents. Lin Huang contemplated the implications of her lineage, pondering whether the girl before him possessed a natural affinity that could be deemed the pinnacle among grade A attributes. Chapter 9. A new method of absorbing cores. Undoubtedly, individuals with natural abilities were treasures. However, natural is a broad classification encompassing flora, fauna, mountains, rivers, and even storms and snow. All awakened beings of the natural type, regardless of their specific domain, were classified as Grade A. Those awakening through flora and fauna typically assumed supportive roles, while those embodying storms and snow wielded formidable offensive powers. Among the 3 Grade A undead beasts that besieged Lin Huang and his brothers, one possessed a natural attribute related to storms. The tempests surged with immense power, disrupting the very electrons in the air, resulting in collisions that unleashed high-voltage lightning. Under this storm's influence, the trio found their strength severely diminished, unable to unleash their full potential. Moreover, the tempest itself was fearsome, compounded by the assault of 2 additional undead beasts with alluring and spatial attributes. First, let us consume the cores of these 2 beasts. In this world, where decaying corpses roam, every increment of strength translates to a greater chance of survival. Following Xiao Yu's ministrations, Lin Huang experienced significant relief from the soreness in his legs and could move once more. Absorbing the cores of the undead beasts would alleviate his injuries and foster healing. All right, I shall retrieve the core, Xiao Yu stated. Lin Huang, however, shook his head and advised, allow me to share a small tip, if conditions permit. It is best to digest and absorb the core immediately after it is separated from the undead beast. This yields the most beneficial effects. You seem to possess considerable knowledge, Xiao Yu remarked, blinking her eyes. She was, after all, still a young girl. Had it not been for the apocalypse, she would likely still be nestled in the comforts of academia. Go ahead, the great serpent belongs to you. It should aid in awakening your attributes. Lin Huang remarked as he rose and dusted off his trousers. Do you know my attributes? Xiao Yu immediately became cautious, finding it hard to trust even Lin Huang, who had fought alongside her moments ago. Lin Huang comprehended her wariness, as human attributes could indeed be seized. The treachery among kindred has persisted throughout history, and the allure of an A-grade attribute is simply too compelling. Rest assured, if I intended to harm you, I would not have saved you. After all, the potential of the original awakeners is far greater. For the sake of humanity, I would never engage in such a self-destructive act. Lin Huang waved his hand dismissively. Upon hearing Lin Huang's words, Xiao Yu contemplated briefly and found his reasoning quite sound, allowing her guard to lower. Lin Huang chuckled softly. This young girl was indeed cautious, yet she was rather gullible. Xiao Yu possessed remarkable talent, and Lin Huang could tell she had diligently honed her strength. After all, at the tender age of 16 or 17, she would not have ventured into this desolate region, a realm dominated by the undead beasts. Only those with considerable strength would dare to confront the undead and obtain their cores to enhance their abilities. This young lady, in her teens, had already reached the peak of E-grade or perhaps even D-grade strength. It was likely that she had been dealing with the undead for years. This experience would undoubtedly bolster her power. However, it also rendered Xiao Yu somewhat naive regarding the cunning of human nature. While she was cautious, she was still too easily swayed. But I am genuinely curious. How did you discern my attributes? Xiao Yu inquired with intrigue. To levitate surrounding objects and launch attacks, one must either possess nature or control attributes. I am not a fool, Lin Huang replied, rolling his eyes. Oh, Xiao Yu nodded. Realizing that the control and nature attributes were indeed so easily recognizable, she would need to be mindful in the future. Yet, unbeknownst to her, and overlooked by Lin Huang, was the fact that it was over 300 years ago, at the onset of the undead tide. The emergence of A-grade attributes like control was exceedingly rare, with each individual being a subject of utmost protection. Those who had encountered them either remained silent or were silenced permanently. Thus, in this era, it was virtually impossible for someone like Lin Huang, a mere 18-year-old youth, to identify nature or control attributes at a glance. However, this revelation proved beneficial for Xiao Yu, as it led her to believe that her attributes could be easily discerned, and through such means, she would be more cautious in her actions henceforth. Lin Huang seemed to sense her thoughts and chuckled, saying, in the future, you might consider masquerading as an awakener of gravitational attributes. After all, below B-grade, the combat characteristics of nature and gravity attributes bear some resemblance. With a bit of caution, you should not be easily recognized. Lin Huang remarked that if it weren't for the overly artistic abilities exhibited by Xiao Yu, he might have suspected that the girl belonged to the gravitational system. Although awakening the gravitational system is commendable, it merely represents a branch of the Earth system, akin to the Swift system from Lin Huang's previous life, both classified as sea level. Below sea level, being able to levitate a few small stones is already quite impressive. Yet Xiao Yu managed to lift nearly all the stones on the ground, each no larger than a thumb, which is beyond the capabilities of a sea-level attribute. I am not of the natural system. I belong to the control system. Xiao Yu nodded in acknowledgement of Lin Huang's reminder and added, the control system? That aligns closely with my suspicions. Lin Huang chuckled, his laughter tinged with polite awkwardness. Xiaoyu smiled lightly. She was aware of the significant differences between the natural and control systems. Her smile was well-intentioned. Yet the simplicity of her laughter held a hint of sarcasm for Lin Huang, who, aside from his cultivation, often indulged in online escapades. The atmosphere grew somewhat uncomfortable. But fortunately, there were still 2 cores awaiting their absorption. Lin Huang laughed lightly and moved to sit cross-legged beside a pangolin. He struck the creature's head, breaking through, and after stirring the contents, he retrieved a dark orb roughly the size of a longan. Without hesitation, he tossed the orb into his mouth, still slick with the foul blood of the beast. Yet Lin Huang did not flinch, as such actions had become commonplace in his previous life. He stole a glance at Xiaoyu, his eyes reflecting admiration. For a young woman, swallowing an orb stained with the putrid blood of a corpse beast was almost unthinkable. Most would hesitate to even touch it. However, Xiaoyu only paused briefly before decisively swallowing the orb. Lin Huang clearly observed her complexion turn pale in an instant, as if she might vomit, her delicate features contorting in distress. Yet, she bore through it, akin to someone enduring the nausea of motion sickness. Lin Huang understood this sensation, as he had experienced something similar when he first swallowed a core tainted with the blood of a corpse beast. Nevertheless, this method proved to be more effective than cleaning the core before absorption. Lin Huang speculated that the blood on the orb might contribute to its efficacy. Chapter 10. Dual Surprises in Truth. Lin Huang was uncertain about this hypothesis. He did not know whether the blood of the corpse beast would aid in the absorption of the core. He had contemplated the idea of using the blood to facilitate the ingestion of a clean core, but when the foul liquid neared his lips, he abandoned the thought. Lin Huang was not noble enough to sacrifice himself for science, especially not for the grotesque and repulsive act of consuming the rotting blood of a corpse beast. A few minutes later, Lin Huang opened his eyes. He slapped the ground with his palm and sprang up, his speed and strength having significantly increased compared to before. Lin Huang gazed at his hands, a flicker of astonishment crossing his features. He had anticipated that after devouring the core of this D-class corpse beast, his physical strength would surpass the E-class threshold and reach D-class. However, to his surprise, his abilities exceeded his expectations by approximately 30%. This indicated that the core's efficacy had amplified by a remarkable 30% when applied to him. Could it be that this pangolin was the legendary pangolin king? If so, then the core of such a creature might indeed possess such extraordinary properties. However, if this deceased pangolin was truly the pangolin king, then it was not merely the creature that had perished, but also Lin Huang and Xiaoyu. And let us not forget the enormous serpent. What then was the reason for this perplexity? Lin Huang pondered deeply, reflecting on the transformations he had undergone since his resurrection, which might account for the remarkable enhancement in the effectiveness of an ordinary corpse beast's core. One should not underestimate this 30%. It represented an accelerated rate of advancement. This implied that Lin Huang's progression would outpace that of an average individual by 30. Although this effect might diminish in the later stages. What was Lin Huang currently striving for? To reach B-class as swiftly as possible. The sooner he attained B-class, the sooner he could exact his vengeance. Delays would be fatal. If Zheng Shiyue, that despicable creature, ascended to A-class, Lin Huang would be utterly devoid of hope. The allure of A-class would utterly overshadow the pitiful devouring attribute, rendering him a mere plaything in the hands of others. Even if Lin Huang's combat level reached A-class, could the subpar devouring attribute truly achieve A-class fighting prowess? Suddenly, an epiphany struck Lin Huang. He recalled the infamously debilitating devouring attribute from his past life. Could it be that the greatest advantage of this so-called debilitating attribute was its ability to enhance the rate of level advancement by 30%? That was indeed extraordinary. While it merely strengthened the body, martial artists who trained their physical form inherently possessed an advantage in the early stages. If this were indeed the case, the devouring attribute would be perfectly suited to Lin Huang's current circumstances, though its potential might be limited and it would inevitably become a liability in the later stages. What Lin Huang needed right now was to reach B-class. The sooner he arrived at B-class, the sooner he could avenge his brothers, ensuring that they would not perish in this lifetime. A surge of excitement coursed through Lin Huang. Though he could not be certain whether he had returned to 300 years prior and whether his brothers would awaken, he could at least strive with all his might. He was determined to grind for experience and level up. Rising to his feet, Lin Huang's face radiated enthusiasm. 3 centuries of cultivation had rendered his heart a tranquil abyss. Yet this unexpected revelation had utterly unsettled him. Unable to contain his elation and exhilaration, he felt an overwhelming urge to hunt. He yearned to slay corpse beasts and elevate his level. Lin Huang dashed forward a few paces, eager to vanquish corpse beasts and claim their cores for his ascension. But his swift steps abruptly halted once more. Xiao Yu had yet to fully absorb the core, and if she were to leave now, she would be utterly defenseless. Should she encounter a corpse beast, it would spell her doom. Why was it taking so long? Lin Huang had grown accustomed to the swift absorption of cores. After all, he had once been an A-grade powerhouse, with a speed of absorption that was nothing short of astonishing, often consuming dozens or even hundreds at a time. Only cores of exceptionally high rank required a more gradual approach. For him, taking over 10 minutes to absorb a D-grade core felt absurdly slow. Yet he reconciled this with the understanding of his current low level. He had forgotten that in his earlier days, when he was weak, absorbing a single D-grade core while at E-grade would take at least an hour. Even employing the small techniques he had discovered, the fastest absorption would require 40 to 50 minutes. 10 minutes, at this rate, was already a significant improvement. Could this be the benefit bestowed by his devouring attribute? If so, wouldn't his rate of advancement be extraordinary? Lin Huang was filled with exhilaration. Was this a divine opportunity for revenge? The seemingly inferior devouring attribute was surprisingly potent in the early stages. Indeed, powerful in the early stages, yet debilitating in the later ones. Nevertheless, what Lin Huang sought was precisely that early strength. After half an hour, Xiao Yu slowly awakened, her demeanor markedly transformed, indicating a breakthrough of her own, albeit not as substantial as Lin Huang's. After all, she had already reached the initial D-grade. A D-grade core was of great significance to her. Yet its effects were evidently inferior to those experienced by Lin Huang, who was merely at E-grade and possessed the devouring attribute. For Lin Huang, this half hour felt like an eternity, nay, like an eternity measured in seconds. At last, you are awake. Lin Huang exclaimed joyfully upon seeing Xiao Yu's return to consciousness. Did I take long to absorb? I feel like it was less than an hour. Your method is truly effective. Xiao Yu replied. Her expression tinged with excitement as Lin Huang had gifted her a means to rapidly ascend in power. The absorption time had been reduced by a full 10 minutes, which meant her efficiency in leveling up was approximately 20% faster than the average person. This statistic was extraordinarily advantageous for someone of her A-grade talent. Xiao Yu too needed to level up quickly. Her family had all been slain by corpse beasts, and she sought vengeance. 30 minutes is quite a long time, you know? Well, since you have awakened, I trust in your abilities to handle any issues. Farewell for now, Lin Huang thought. His determination to hunt down countless corpse beasts in advance in level was now uncontainable. With swift strides, he departed with an air of nonchalance. Xiao Yu was momentarily taken aback as Lin Huang vanished around the nearby corner. This man, Xiao Yu pouted in annoyance. Feeling unjustly abandoned despite being a stunning beauty herself, she glanced around at the eerie surroundings, the lingering stench of decay in the air inducing a wave of nausea. The corpse beasts are thus, while they are alive, they are manageable, but once deceased, they rot almost instantaneously, emitting an aroma that is both alluring and overpowering. Enough to bring tears to one's eyes. Xiao Yu pouted, for she remained, after all, a girl. Rising to her feet, she stomped lightly and pursued the direction in which Lin Huang had vanished. Chapter 11. Seeking companionship for teamwork accomplished. Lin Huang gazed at the fallen corpse beast before him, his eyes sparkling with an intensity that seemed ready to burst forth. For someone lacking strength, dealing with the scattered E-level corpse beasts would have required an immense expenditure of mental energy. However, Lin Huang had now ascended to D-level. For a skilled individual, even a modicum of power suffices to vanquish foes. Lin Huang's A-level combat techniques, now wielded against E and D-level corpse beasts, rendered the task exceedingly effortless. It was akin to a max-level player creating a low-tier character to breeze through beginner dungeons, an endeavor devoid of challenge. Lin Huang even found himself yearning to encounter sea-level corpse beasts, eager for a challenge beyond his current capabilities. One must admit, Lin Huang's fervor bordered on madness. A relentless desire to level up. Yet, truth be told, should he genuinely encounter a sea-level beast, he would likely exercise caution. While danger might not be imminent, experience is a valuable asset. Lin Huang could not yet withstand a sea-level beast. Without breaking their defenses, even the most refined techniques would prove futile. Nevertheless, this region seemed devoid of sea-level beasts. Even now, he had yet to encounter a single D-level creature, surrounded only by the lowest-tier E-level beasts. Should another D-level beast core appear, Lin Huang would be on the verge of breaking into the mid-D level. Generally speaking, 2 D-level cores would be insufficient for most to achieve this advancement. Yet Lin Huang's efficacy with cores exceeded that of a typical individual by 30%. When it comes to hunting E-level corpse beasts, a surplus of cores would necessitate approximately 30. No, more accurately, 20. Yet, that would be a tremendous waste of time. Setting aside the struggles with the corpse beasts, although Lin Huang could easily slay an E-level beast, Such creatures rarely roamed alone. They often traveled in packs of 3 to 5. Once 3 or more E-level beasts gathered, Lin Huang found himself at a disadvantage. He certainly had not yet attained the capability to entirely disregard the attacks of E-level beasts, and their combined assault was beyond his current techniques. It had been half an hour since he parted ways with Xiaoyu, and this was the first solitary corpse beast he had encountered. One beast in half an hour. And a solo kill at that. This efficiency was commendable. Lin Huang acknowledged that this rate was indeed high. Yet, he remained unsatisfied, for this efficiency fell short of his aspirations. Half an hour to absorb a single E-level core seemed excessive. In his view, he ought to have consumed one and immediately caught another. Alas, solitary E-level corpse beasts were exceedingly rare. D-level beasts, however, seemed to prefer solitary excursions. Yet, Lin Huang had yet to cross paths with one. He had previously attempted to confront 3 E-level undead beasts simultaneously, of course, with little success. Even if he managed to slay one, he would inevitably sustain injuries and fail to obtain the core. In such a perilous environment, sustaining injuries could lead to dire consequences, severely diminishing his efficiency in leveling up. Lin Huang's eyes sparkled with determination as he extracted the core, tossed it into his mouth, and promptly sat cross-legged to absorb its essence. In a fleeting 3 minutes, Lin Huang opened his eyes, assessing his condition. He felt his physical strength had indeed augmented. At this rate, with another 19 E-level undead beasts, he could ascend to the mid-D level. Well, E-level is still E-level. He could manage 19 of them in 2 or 3 days. Lin Huang mused that had someone told him in the past that he could elevate a tier in just a couple of days, he would have been utterly incredulous, even regarding the lower ranks. Otherwise, human cultivation would not often take centuries or more. Just as Lin Huang rose, preparing to hunt once more, he noticed a slender figure in the distance, scanning her surroundings. What was she doing here? Lin Huang wondered. After several confrontations with the undead beasts, their positions had shifted significantly. He was skeptical that Xiaoyu had intentionally sought him out, though it appeared she was indeed looking for him. Hey, over here! Lin Huang called out, unable to feign ignorance, especially since this little girl was so reckless that she would inevitably attract a horde of undead beasts. Should a minor beast tide erupt, their current frail forms would scarcely withstand a few steps from those creatures. It was evident that Xiaoyu had spotted him too. I finally found you, Xiaoyu exclaimed, rushing towards Lin Huang. You were looking for me. For what purpose? Lin Huang inquired. To form a team. Having another human around means we can look out for each other, and besides, I'm a control type. I want to hold you back, Xiaoyu replied. Her voice tinged with nervousness. This area was the most suitable for her advancement, yet her awakened talent was exceedingly formidable, which could incite jealousy and resentment, even leading to murderous intentions aimed at devouring her energy. She had encountered such teammates before, prompting her reluctance to team up with others. However, Lin Huang was different. Upon surmising he might possess the rare devouring attribute, he had shown no ulterior motives and even saved her life, leading Xiaoyu to perceive him as a trustworthy ally. Upon hearing Xiaoyu's words, Lin Huang furrowed his brow. While it was true that everyone desired to team up with a control type for efficient monster hunting, a D-level control type seemed to lack substantial control abilities. Teaming up would likely be a burden, as he would have to divide his focus to protect her. After all, she was a human with A-level potential. Yet, the pitiful expression on her face, with those big, pleading eyes, was hard to resist. In this moment, Xiaoyu looked adorably endearing, both pitiable and charming. Regardless of past or present, Lin Huang found it difficult to resist a girl acting cute. Otherwise, he wouldn't have fallen prey to Zhang Shiyue's charms. I am unaware of the unique abilities possessed by the D-class control system. If it could assist me, I would be open to collaboration. However, if it cannot, I must express my apologies, as I require swift advancement and cannot afford any encumbrances. Lin Huang clenched his teeth, recalling how in his previous life he had knelt at a woman's feet. In this life, he resolutely refused to tread the same path. While she may be charming, his focus must remain on his own progression. This statement served as a clear rejection, bordering on humiliation. Surprisingly, upon hearing this, Xiaoyu felt a surge of joy, for she understood that Lin Huang's words were not empty promises. He would indeed follow through. Coincidentally, after reaching D-class, she awakened her first ability, dizziness. This skill could incapacitate a target of no greater combat rank than her own for 3 seconds. Against 2 or more opponents, the duration would be reduced to 1 second, with a maximum of 5 targets. As her strength grew, so too would the potency of this ability. Though one might consider this skill somewhat lackluster at present, it held potential for future strength. 3 seconds of dizziness. What could it achieve in one-on-one combat? Would a control specialist dare to engage in close-quarters combat? As for ranged attacks, it was well known that control systems were not renowned for their offensive capabilities. Yet, If one were to have a capable melee partner, Xiaoyu mused. Lin Huang before her fit that description perfectly. Chapter 12. Team Formation. Lin Huang shook his head, interpreting Xiaoyu's momentary daze as an indication that she currently lacked any abilities that could assist him. To speak candidly, the formidable nature of A-class qualifications lies in the probability of acquiring a unique skill with each level gained. It was evident that Xiaoyu had not been particularly fortunate in this regard, failing to obtain a special skill at D-class. Many believe that skills acquired at lower levels are inherently inferior. However, Lin Huang understood that skills gained at lower ranks could evolve into extraordinary abilities as one's power escalated. These abilities could accompany an individual throughout their life, and crucially, they demanded minimal energy expenditure. It could be asserted that E-class, being the lowest awakening level, lacks any skills, while those who acquire unique abilities at D-class would find their skills invaluable upon reaching A-class combat rank and beyond. Such skills could serve as regular attacks, with energy consumption outstripped by recovery speed. Furthermore, through continuous training and the slaying of corpses to enhance their skills, their effectiveness would not diminish significantly. Nevertheless, Lin Huang, having navigated the apocalypse for 3 centuries, had yet to hear of anyone awakening a skill at the D-class level. Thus, the notion of unlimited skill activation remained purely speculative. In the past, his second brother had awakened a defensive skill at C-class, yet it was a continuous skill. Though its energy cost was low, it could not be stacked. Consequently, his brother opted to sacrifice the advantage of low consumption to significantly enhance the skill's strength, ultimately evolving it into the indomitable golden body that would come to dominate the realm. Regrettably, Zhang Shirui possesses an astute understanding of the trio, leading to their ultimate confrontation where they were systematically targeted. Their swift movements were countered by the spatial abilities of the undead beasts, while the eldest brother faced the constraints of nature. Although the second brother's indomitable golden body was difficult to overcome, its activation significantly diminished his speed, despite enhancing his defense and strength. Amidst the chaos of storms and enchantments, he could only watch helplessly as the 3 adversaries overwhelmed and annihilated the second brother. He comprehended Zhang Shiyue's rationale. Allowing the trio to unite would spell disaster, as the second brother, with his golden body absorbing damage, and the eldest brother, invoking the sharp metallic awakening of the white tiger, combined with his own unparalleled speed, would render them nearly unbeatable. Thus, Zhang Shirui strategically targeted the second brother when he was alone, luring Lin Huang and the eldest brother into the fray, capitalizing on the second brother's slower pace. The eldest brother and Lin Huang were exceedingly elusive, necessitating cunning tactics to ensnare them. Lin Huang lamented his situation, reflecting on how he ascended from C-grade potential to A-grade prowess, earning significant renown due to his fortuitous acquisition of the unique ability, Flash Step, during his breakthrough. This ability bestowed upon him a semblance of teleportation, and, valuing this skill, he diligently honed it, creating his own swift movement technique. The synergy of these 2 skills rendered Lin Huang a masterful figure, whether in pursuit or evasion. Furthermore, his other ability, which awakened only at A-grade, possessed formidable striking power, making it exceptionally suitable for him. What Lin Huang regretted most was that his Flash Step did not awaken at D-grade. Had it done so, with virtually limitless application, he could have undoubtedly rescued both the eldest and second brothers, preserving his own life as well. His request of Xiaoyu was indeed a challenge. The probability of awakening a D-grade skill was even lower than that of an A-grade attribute, rivaling the rarity of S-grade attributes. After all, if anyone were to awaken an ability at D-grade, they would surely become invincible within their tier, possessing at least one more skill than their peers. Enough, he declared. With no further assistance to offer, it is best to depart. And let me add, cherish your gifts. In the current circumstances, enrollment is paramount, whatever your aspirations. Once you attain A-grade, you may venture to the Taiying Mountains, the East China Sea, the Sahara Desert, or the Mongolian steppes, all of which will be beneficial to you. Lin Huang continued. Upon reaching mastery in control abilities, the primary method of combat will involve commanding undead beasts, effectively making one a leader among them. As of now, humanity lacks such formidable control specialists. In my previous life, there existed a remarkable master of control abilities, whose undead beasts encompassed a diverse array of creatures from the skies, land, water, and even those that traversed underground. The 3 brothers of Lin Huang engaged in a fierce battle, initially believing their opponent to be the leader of the corpse beasts. The encounter was utterly tragic, as they could barely touch their foe. However, upon finally confronting the adversary, they discovered that he was, in fact, human. Xiaoyu was perplexed by Lin Huang's insistence that she visit several locations after reaching a level, but she could discern that he was preparing to depart, truly a figure of coolness. waving his sleeves as if to say he would take not a single wisp of cloud with him. Wait, I just unlocked a skill upon breaking through to D-level, which should aid you. Xiao Yu exclaimed hurriedly. Huh, awakened a D-level skill? Lin Huang had already turned away, and upon hearing Xiao Yu's words, he initially found it amusing. But then he froze in astonishment. Are you serious? Lin Huang was taken aback. The potency of awakening a skill at D-level had been previously discussed, and there was no need for elaboration. He had never anticipated that this young girl before him possessed such terrifying talent or luck. What ability? Lin Huang swiftly approached Xiao Yu, his speech faltering. If her ability proved to be commendable, Lin Huang would have to seriously contemplate how to safeguard Xiao Yu. Once she matured, she could become immensely significant to humanity, perhaps even achieving S-level prowess. At the very least, if her skill were marginally useful and she received proper guidance. With his own efforts to enhance her, she could certainly become invincible below S-level. If her skill were extraordinarily powerful, she might even evade S-level attacks with ease. Xiao Yu was startled and fell to the ground, her tailbone aching from the stones beneath her, her cheeks flushed and on the brink of tears. Apologies, are you alright? Lin Huang quickly pulled her up. Xiao Yu shook her head. What girl does not harbor youthful dreams? At 16, she was already of marrying age in the olden days. I'm fine, Xiao Yu replied as she stood up. Lin Huang instinctively brushed the dust off her backside. In his eyes, as a soul of 300 years. Xiao Yu was merely a child, and it seemed entirely natural to remove the dust from a child's clothing. Chapter 13. A startling incident, however. Lin Huang was only 18 now, not much older than Xiao Yu. The moment his hand made contact with her backside, Xiao Yu froze. Utterly unprepared for such an audacious gesture from him. All the dust is gone now, Lin Huang stated, then eagerly gazed at Xiao Yu. Her face turned an even deeper shade of crimson, as if it might bleed. The crucial point was that she felt no aversion to Lin Huang's hand as she had anticipated. Perhaps it was due to the purity in his gaze, devoid of any lewdness. As Lin Huang observed the bashful expression on Xiao Yu's face, he suddenly became aware of his own demeanor. Ah, the air is truly splendid. With blue skies and white clouds, Lin Huang forced a rather awkward smile, feeling embarrassed yet polite, and even he found himself blushing. Xiao Yu rolled her eyes, finding the excuse utterly inadequate. In today's society, the blue skies and white clouds have almost become myths, which is one of the reasons for the emergence of the undead beasts. As for the air quality, although humanity's standards for what constitutes good air have plummeted to the point where even hazy days are considered favorable, it is hard to claim that a place rife with enmity possesses any semblance of good air quality. However, it is true that in the gathering grounds of the undead beasts, aside from the ever-present stench of decay that is somewhat unbearable, there seems to be an absence of haze, and the air quality, to be frank, could rival that of several centuries ago. Although there was indeed haze even back then, it was still somewhat better. After an awkward pause, it was Xiao Yu who broke the tension. Often, it is the female perspective that finds a way to ease the atmosphere. Despite Lin Huang having lived for centuries, his experience in such matters was rather limited. His only encounter had ended tragically, costing him his life. My skill is stun. Xiao Yu explained the nature of her ability to Lin Huang, who was momentarily taken aback. His expression one of astonishment. Good heavens. A 3-second single-target stun, a 1-second area stun. Lin Huang murmured, his mind seemingly entranced. In an A-class battle, a 1-second stun translates to a significant reduction in the number of attacks, and for someone like Lin Huang, a speed-oriented fighter, that equates to over 100 strikes within a single second. What does it mean to unleash over 100 attacks? Even the hardest materials deep within the earth would be obliterated. Had someone been able to stun the opponent for merely 1 second, no, even half a second, during his previous battles, Lin Huang would have been able to turn the tables in an instant. What's wrong? Is this ability too weak? 3 seconds seems a bit short. Xiao Yu said somewhat bashfully. Although she possessed a skill, her lack of understanding led her to believe that 3 seconds was insufficient for her to eliminate the undead beasts. Furthermore, after each use, she required nearly 3 minutes of meditation to recharge her ability. No. Even 1 second is more than enough, Lin Huang insisted, gazing at Xiao Yu as though she were a priceless treasure, even contemplating the idea of taking her as a disciple. Lin Huang was not fond of teaching. Despite being quite adept at it and having his unique methods, having ascended from a C-class aptitude to A-class combat prowess, he had never taken on a disciple. Even for those with A-class talents, he had only offered guidance. However, Xiao Yu's potential left Lin Huang astounded. With A-class control potential and a D-class awakening of the stun skill, just imagine, once Xiao Yu commands her own horde of undead beasts in battle. Stunning the enemy for a moment while her legion charges forth could result in a devastating onslaught, trampling foes into oblivion. Oh, can I assist you in any way? Xiao Yu asked timidly. Absolutely. From this moment on, You are not to leave my side for even a step. Lin Huang declared with unwavering resolve. He was no saint, but he was undeniably human. Such a prodigy truly embodies the hope for humanity's future. In a previous life, there were but a few S-level warriors among humanity, significantly outnumbered by the undead beasts, perpetually enduring defeat. It was only through the unique formations of humanity that they could defend themselves. The addition of an A-level controller capable of infinite stunning would undoubtedly provide a formidable force to restrain the S-level undead beasts. Should this talent ascend to S-level, with the cooperation of their allies, they could effortlessly turn the tide against their adversaries. Lin Huang was determined to protect such a genius, ensuring that they would not fall victim to the undead beasts under his watch. Furthermore, for Lin Huang, possessing the stunning ability of Xiao Yu would prove immensely beneficial. He could only seek out solitary A-level undead beasts alone, but with Xiao Yu by his side, they could overpower groups of 5 or fewer A-level undead beasts with ease. In a mere second, Lin Huang could eliminate 2 E-level undead beasts, leaving the remaining 3 severely weakened. This efficiency was far superior to hunting for isolated beasts. Xiao Yu found herself somewhat incredulous. Lin Huang's demeanor had shifted remarkably. "All right, I will follow your lead," she said. Though she felt compelled to establish certain terms, 70% of the cores we obtain will be mine. And all cores related to enhancing the physical body must belong to me. Among that 70%, if there are cores that enhance control, you will have priority. Lin Huang explained that this distribution was necessary for 2 reasons. First, he urgently needed to level up, and second, only by growing stronger could he ensure Xiao Yu's safety. Moreover, even if he took 70% of the cores, he estimated that Xiao Yu would benefit far more than if she were to fight alone. He would shoulder the primary dangers, ensuring a high level of safety for her, as controllers were inherently fragile. Xiao Yu hesitated, taken aback by Lin Huang's apparent greed. Was she mistaken in her judgment of him? Observing her uncertainty, Lin Huang reassured her, "Rest assured, your fears will not come to pass. I guarantee that by following me, your rate of acquiring undead cores will be exponentially greater than if you were to fight alone. As long as I remain alive, you will undoubtedly survive. Just remember, the higher my strength, the safer you will be, and your advancement will accelerate." When Lin Huang became serious, he exuded a unique charisma, a sense of responsibility that was undeniably enchanting to a girl. Particularly, his declaration, "As long as I live, you shall not perish," resonated deeply with Xiao Yu. Any woman would feel a fondness for a man willing to protect her life with his own. Xiao Yu's eyes sparkled with an ineffable light as she gazed at Lin Huang, captivated by the determination in his gaze. "Very well, I shall heed your words," she said, shyly lowering her head, unable to meet his gaze any longer. Chapter 14. The human stronghold. At times, the blossoming of a young girl's heart is utterly unexpected, akin to a flower that suddenly unfurls. Indeed, Lin Huang spoke the truth. Their partnership in this region, predominantly inhabited by E-level corpse beasts, faced no formidable adversaries. This was largely thanks to Xiao Yu. Upon discovering that Lin Huang required merely 20 E-level corpse cores to ascend to the mid-D level, she promptly allocated the first 20 cores to him without hesitation. Consequently, Lin Huang sustained only minor injuries during his initial encounter with the E-level corpse beasts, while the remainder of his battles unfolded seamlessly, entirely under his control. Once Lin Huang ascended to the mid-D level, the threat posed by 5 or fewer E-level corpse beasts dissipated, especially with Xiao Yu's adept management, ensuring a precise elimination of each foe. The swiftness of their efficiency left Xiao Yu astounded. She had faith in Lin Huang's honesty, yet she could scarcely fathom his ferocity. Whenever they encountered the corpse beasts, Lin Huang would charge in, and as long as Xiao Yu incapacitated a beast, he would assuredly dispatch it. Indeed, with Lin Huang's combat experience, the E-level corpse beasts seemed no more than mere training dummies. Had it not been for his initially low defenses, which led to a few close encounters, he would have evaded them effortlessly. Now, at the mid-D level, Lin Huang's physique could withstand multiple assaults from E-level corpse beasts. Even without Xiao Yu, he could single-handedly eliminate them. Yet, her presence ensured his safety. The absorption of a single E-level corpse core took Lin Huang merely a minute, while Xiao Yu required only 4 to 5 minutes, given that they were both at the D level. After half a day, Lin Huang reached the pinnacle of the D level, and the significance of the E-level corpse cores for him had diminished considerably. Remarkably, Xiao Yu, in that brief span, also ascended to the mid-D level, a feat that previously would have taken her at least 2 days to achieve. However, by accompanying Lin Huang, her progression accelerated fourfold. At last, before the sun dipped below the horizon, Lin Huang reached the D-level pinnacle, while Xiao Yu experienced her own minor breakthrough. "That will suffice for today. The night is perilous, and we must find shelter," Lin Huang declared. Indeed,
When I first arrived, I passed by a store that seemed devoid of corpse beasts and contained some food and water. Although it might be expired, it should still be edible, Xiaoyu replied. That is splendid news. Lin Huang exclaimed with delight. He had consumed even rotting corpse meat for the sake of survival. Nothing was beyond his reach. Under Xiaoyu's guidance, they successfully arrived at the dilapidated store before darkness enveloped the land. Inside, only a few shelves had toppled, and beside them lay pools of congealed blood. A grim reminder of the nearly year-long corpse tide that had ravaged the area. It is evident that, at that time, the store was devoid of customers, and the lifeless bodies belonged to the staff who had perished without a struggle. The shelves were mostly intact, save for a few disheveled items near the bloodstains. Fortunately, the undead creatures seemed disinterested in snacks. Lin Huang took a leisurely stroll around, confirming the absence of any undead beings, before tearing open a bag of chips and indulging in them. As the familiar flavor graced his palate, Lin Huang's eyes instinctively narrowed in pleasure. It had been centuries since he had savored such a taste. This was no exaggeration. In his previous life, the last time Lin Huang had enjoyed chips was on the night the zombie apocalypse erupted, and he had not tasted them since. As he munched, he noticed that many food items on the shelves had vanished, indicating that other adventurers had ventured here before. This place seemed to serve as a bastion for humans daring to hunt the undead. However, something about the food seemed amiss. In contrast to Lin Huang's hearty appetite, Xiaoyu was far more cautious, taking only a single bite before setting the bag down, her demeanor alert as she scanned the surroundings. What is the matter? Lin Huang inquired. The taste of this food is off, Xiaoyu replied, shaking her head. Logically, these items should have long expired, and the packaging clearly indicates they are well past their date. Yet, the flavor is unmistakably that of fresh snacks. Fear not, these were placed here by human organizations. This location must have been established as a stronghold, otherwise, it would have been overrun by the undead long ago. Lin Huang smiled, appreciating Xiaoyu's caution. In a world like this, prudence was essential for survival. Oh, is that so? How do you know everything? Xiaoyu, without questioning Lin Huang's words, resumed eating. Perhaps I heard it from someone, though it might be a fabrication, Lin Huang chuckled. Startled, Xiaoyu paused mid-bite, but upon seeing Lin Huang's mischievous grin, she realized he was merely teasing her. Humph, she huffed, though it resembled more of a playful pout. However, I still have one question, Xiaoyu said. Speak your mind. Lin Huang encouraged, surprised by her curiosity. It was beneficial for her to inquire more, as it would broaden her experience and serve her well in the future. I'm puzzled. If these are indeed provisions left by a human organization, why not provide genuinely expired items? Merely printing an expiration date seems easily discernible, at least to someone like me. This diminishes the intended challenge, Xiaoyu pondered. A faint smile crossed Lin Huang's face as he recalled some rather unpleasant past experiences. He did not respond immediately, instead rummaging through the drawers until he retrieved a pack of cigarettes. Lighting one, he finally began to speak. Where can one find expired food? In the days immediately following the outbreak of the zombie horde, all sustenance had been entirely consumed. Lin Huang spoke in a calm tone. Yet Xiaoyu could vividly imagine the profound despair that lay behind those seemingly indifferent words. Every morsel of food had been exhausted, including that which was expired or even rotten. The mere fact that humanity managed to endure such a time could only be described as miraculous. After a brief absence, Lin Huang returned, wielding a sharp dagger in one hand and a hand cannon in the other. These supplies had been provided by the human organization, though most were unaware of their existence. There remained ample supplies, even firearms, but for Lin Huang, the dagger was the most practical weapon. He tossed the hand cannon to Xiaoyu. This formidable weapon possessed immense power, far exceeding that of other portable firearms, though its drawback lay in its sluggish rate of fire. Nevertheless, it was ideally suited for Xiaoyu in her current state. With it, she could incapacitate an enemy and, should she encounter one, deliver a decisive blow. Study it well. Do not venture anywhere before I return, Lin Huang instructed, as he prepared to leave this secure stronghold under the moonlight. Where are you going? Xiaoyu called out, but Lin Huang had already vanished into the night. Chapter 15. Night Hunt. Lin Huang traversed the darkness with utmost caution. In areas where the undead beasts congregated, higher-level zombies would emerge at night to patrol and oversee the lower-tiered ones, guarding their territory against incursions from rival leaders. This region was predominantly inhabited by E-class zombies. During the day, 2 D-class had appeared and engaged in a relentless battle, devoid of lower-tiered assistance, indicative that neither was a leader. This was a standard configuration for a low-tier zombie gathering, typically led by D-class. However, it seemed that most of them had been eradicated by now. Lin Huang had reached the pinnacle of D-class combat capability, and to achieve a normal breakthrough, he would require at least 1,000 E-class cores or 100 D-class cores. 1,000 E-class zombies? It seemed unlikely that he could eliminate them all in this area. Even though Lin Huang's absorption rate for cores surpassed that of an ordinary person, he would still need around 7 or 800. In contrast, if he could risk obtaining a C-class core, he could achieve a breakthrough directly, thereby saving at least 10 to 15 days. Time was of the essence for Lin Huang. He could not afford to leisurely grind for levels, as that would be far too slow. However, this endeavor was fraught with peril, for leader-class zombies would undoubtedly be accompanied by their guards. He chose not to bring Xiao Yu, for he was utterly ignorant of what might transpire in the darkness, unable to exert control, and fearful of failing to ensure her safety. Within the confines of the safe house, however, Xiao Yu's security was assured. If he could successfully hunt down a sea-level corpse beast tonight, he would be able to assist Xiao Yu in venturing into other territories the following evening, procuring a sea-level beast core for her. After that, it would be time to send her out. He could not remain her caretaker for an eternity. Moreover, once Xiao Yu reached the sea level, she would be capable of commanding 2 corpse beasts whose power equaled his own, provided the beasts were chosen wisely. Her self-preservation would be guaranteed, as long as she avoided encounters with individuals like Lin Huang, who entirely relied on physical prowess. Currently, Lin Huang resembled a humanoid beast, devoid of any extraordinary abilities. His only advantages were speed, strength, and a robust physique. A D-level Lin Huang could deliver a punch with a force of 500 pounds, which represented the upper limit of D-level strength. When unleashed, he could exert over 1,000 pounds of power effortlessly. Presently, any corpse beast below D-level could not withstand the force of Lin Huang's devastating blows. 1 punch would leave them severely injured, and 2 would be fatal. Such was the extent of Lin Huang's combat prowess, which could inflict considerable damage on sea-level foes. Under normal circumstances, it was exceedingly difficult for D-level beings to inflict meaningful harm on sea-level corpse beasts, even at their peak, due to the generally high physical resilience of these creatures. However, Lin Huang had effectively trained himself to embody a corpse beast, his physical strength surpassing that of his counterparts at the same level. He was somewhat oblivious to the intricacies of the devouring attribute. In his quest to enhance his swiftness, he had conducted an exhaustive study of various attributes, leaving no stone unturned. Regrettably, the devouring attribute was both rare and rather lackluster, failing to pique his interest for further exploration. Yet now, Lin Huang found himself filled with regret. He believed that his rapid ascension and physical enhancement were due to this devouring attribute. Had he devoted more attention to this seemingly trivial attribute back then, he might have developed the optimal strategy for survival. Upon reaching the sea level and entering human territories, he resolved to seek out an instrument for testing, for knowledge of oneself and one's adversaries was the key to invincibility in battle. Lin Huang crouched atop the roof, a dagger firmly gripped in his hand, his demeanor calm. As a speedster, he had engaged in assassination on numerous occasions and possessed ample experience. What bolstered his confidence further was that, upon attaining the pinnacle of D-level strength, he had also acquired a subtle technique associated with his tier. During his time at B-level, he had awakened a formidable assassination skill, one characterized by extraordinary speed, aptly named a flash. This technique was the ultimate method for both dispatching foes and escaping peril, boasting not only a terrifying lethality at A level, but also an astonishingly rapid displacement over distances exceeding 100 meters, rivaling the speed of a teleportation maneuver, yet covering even greater ranges. On the foundation of this technique, Lin Huang has developed several subtle techniques specifically designed to complement it and inflict devastating damage. Among these is a maneuver inspired by the technique known as flash. Given that flash relies on an element of surprise and lacks absolute certainty of a one-hit kill, Lin Huang typically refrains from employing it. Instead, he utilizes a pseudo-flash to lure out his opponent's life-saving maneuvers, subsequently following up with the genuine flash to claim a life from 100 paces away. Although it is a pseudo-flash, its potency is not to be underestimated. If the adversary is careless in their vigilance, it can inflict severe harm, if not death. This technique has become one of Lin Huang's primary offensive strategies in the later stages of his combat endeavors. The physical strength required for this maneuver surpasses that of his swift step. Now at the pinnacle of D rank, Lin Huang's physical prowess can sustain the swift step for approximately 30 seconds. He can also execute the pseudo-flash several times, albeit in a less refined form. Its speed and range are diminished. However, employing the pseudo-flash seems feasible only once, for utilizing it a second time would render him immobile, resulting in the death of a C-rank corpse beast, but at the cost of his own life. Lin Huang continues to probe his surroundings, aware that haste is unwarranted. In the early hours of the morning, having searched diligently for some time, he finally perceives an extraordinary aura. This presence is formidable. Lin Huang can distinctly sense that some corpse beasts, previously at rest, have awakened and are trembling in fear.
In the realm of the corpse beasts, ascending to a higher rank equates to absolute dominance over lower-ranked beings. It is not merely a matter of strength, but rather an innate pressure inherent to their species, which does not affect humans. With narrowed eyes, Lin Huang recognizes that his target has emerged. However, the current location is evidently not conducive to confrontation. The sheer number of corpse beasts poses a significant risk, and even E-rank creatures no longer pose a threat to Lin Huang. Yet, their overwhelming numbers could thwart his plans. Concealed in the shadows, he follows the corpse beast for over an hour until it reaches the periphery of its territory, where the number of corpse beasts dwindles significantly. From a distance, Lin Huang observes the creature appearing satisfied, preparing to turn back. At that moment, after waiting patiently, Lin Huang strikes decisively. His audacity in acting alone stems from the conjecture that the two D-rank corpse beasts encountered during the day were likely the protectors of this C-rank beast. Now that the two D-rank beasts have engaged in mutual destruction, Lin Huang finds that there are no higher-ranked beasts nearby, only 7 or 8 E-rank creatures, which pose no significant threat to him. Chapter 16. The Yellow Sparrow awaits. The sole threat lies in the C-rank beast itself. Although Lin Huang has the capability to breach its defenses, the creature's offensive power remains sufficient to inflict grievous injury upon him. Without hesitation, Lin Huang activates his swift step, his figure becoming an elusive specter in the darkness. In an instant, half of the 8 E-rank corpse beasts fall, as Lin Huang, armed with weaponry, demonstrates the ability to eliminate E-rank creatures in a heartbeat. By the time the C-class corpse beast reacted, Lin Huang had already vanquished all 8 E-class corpse beasts. The creature roared in fury, astonished that someone dared to ambush it on its own territory and slay its guards. Lin Huang, however, offered no respite for the enraged beast. His dagger transformed into a flash of lightning, relentlessly striking at the creature. This particular corpse beast took the form of a tiger, its fur providing formidable defense, and its attack power was notoriously high. Lin Huang refrained from unleashing his full might, for such exertion would hinder his movements. At present, the beast was in its prime, and Lin Huang needed to employ a strategy of precision. His primary objective was to breach the protective fur, seeking the opportune moment to deliver a decisive blow. As Lin Huang's dagger continued to descend, tufts of fur flew in every direction, accompanied by the stench of fresh blood. Die! Lin Huang suddenly roared, and in an instant, he inflicted a deep gash upon the abdomen of the tiger corpse beast, narrowly avoiding being swept away by its powerful tail. The tail, akin to a steel whip, struck the ground with a force that shattered the earth. Undoubtedly, had it connected with Lin Huang, he would have been left either dead or severely crippled. The tiger's offensive capabilities were truly terrifying. Thankfully, Lin Huang's strike had successfully breached the beast's abdomen. Yet, in the next moment, he vanished into the shadows, opting not to pursue the advantage. The tiger corpse beast howled to the heavens, asserting its dominance in this territory, where even the surrounding C-class leaders dared not challenge its authority. Today, however, a human had managed to pierce its valuable hide, inflicting injury, a transgression it deemed unforgivable. Yet, Lin Huang's speed was unmatched. Time and again, the beast's claws missed their mark, and its powerful jaws failed to capture him. Even a confident strike with its tail was evaded by the elusive human. At this moment, Lin Huang had already escaped, leaving the beast seething with unvented rage. Had Lin Huang truly fled? Certainly not. His true objective lay within the core of the corpse beast's heart, particularly in the case of a tiger-shaped corpse beast. Its core offered immense enhancements to physical prowess, a veritable treasure. Why did Lin Huang retreat? In truth, with a bit more persistence, he could have slain the beast. However, he sensed a foreboding presence, a palpable danger, as if unseen eyes were watching him from the shadows. Lin Huang had always trusted his instincts. The one time he chose to ignore this intuition, it cost him his life. As he descended into darkness and scanned his surroundings, he discerned the source of this ominous aura. It emanated from the leader of the opposing territory. Each leader within the realm of corpse beasts harbored ambitions of annexing other territories. To swiftly advance, they must conquer the leaders of those regions. The tiger-shaped corpse beast harbored concerns over the encroachment of others upon its territory, a sentiment undoubtedly shared by the other leaders of the corpse beasts. Lin Huang's gaze drifted to the periphery of the corpse beast domain where, seemingly, a pair of eyes were fixated intently upon the enraged tiger-shaped corpse beast. A smile flickered within Lin Huang. This creature from the opposing territory appeared to possess a commendable level of intelligence. Typically, beasts of this caliber lacked any semblance of intellect, while those with a modicum of wisdom were often the spell-casting variants, fragile yet highly offensive. If the core of the tiger-shaped corpse beast was ideally suited for physical enhancement, then the cores of these spell-casting beasts would be exceptionally fitting for individuals like Xiaoyu, who thrived on control or possessed attributes aligned with the natural elements. This particular corpse beast had been observing for quite some time. Had Lin Huang not instinctively heightened his vigilance, he might have fallen victim to a surprise attack. After utilizing his pseudo-instantaneous movement, he found himself uncertain of evading such an assault. Indeed, it remains a mere beast. Though endowed with some intelligence, it remains profoundly limited. Lin Huang caught sight of a small dark shadow moving in the distance, clearly unable to restrain itself in the face of the injured tiger-shaped corpse beast. Had its intelligence been a tad superior, it would have deduced that the human who had previously attacked the tiger was likely still nearby. The tiger-shaped corpse beast, with its crimson eyes, continued to search for Lin Huang's whereabouts, oblivious to the lurking danger approaching from behind. Lin Huang shook his head. How could he relinquish a course suitable for himself to a mere C-grade corpse beast seeking to ambush him? Just as the dark shadow could no longer contain itself and suddenly pounced upon the tiger-shaped corpse beast, Lin Huang hurled a brick that he had readied in his hand directly at the shadow. The impact echoed with a resounding thud, shattering the brick upon contact. Yet it evidently inflicted no harm to the shadow. Nonetheless, this commotion had captured the attention of the tiger-shaped corpse beast, which was already in a state of furious wrath, now fully unleashed. At last, Lin Huang's eyes sparkled as he murmured to himself, as the king of all beasts, even in death, a tiger transformed into a corpse beast retained formidable strength. Upon reaching C-grade, all tiger-shaped corpse beasts had a certain chance of awakening a unique ability, bloodlust. In moments of extreme rage, blood would seep from every pore, transforming its entire body into a vivid crimson, while its defenses would diminish. Both its offensive power and speed would experience exponential enhancement. The shadow attempting to ambush had clearly underestimated the sheer extent of the tiger's fury, which, at the slightest provocation, resorted to desperation. It is crucial to understand that each activation of bloodlust equated to a significant injury, requiring considerable time for recovery. The now blood-red tiger corpse beast swiftly unleashed a clawed strike, its razor-sharp talons slicing through the air towards the shadow. The shadow attempted to flee, fully aware that this tiger was the most formidable entity in the vicinity. Its audacity to attack stemmed from the fact that it had been grievously injured by a human of notable skill. However, reality often proves that a pie falling from the heavens can be as hard as a stone, and even when it lands upon one's head, it may leave one with a painful bump. Now, the bloodthirsty tiger has emerged, a creature far beyond what it can contend with. With a single misstep, one could find themselves beneath its claws, destined to be devoured by this frenzied beast. It yearns to flee, but while it evades the tiger's claws, it remains unprepared for the sinister sweep of its tail. With a thunderous crash, the shadow soaring through the air is forcefully brought down to the ground. Just as it seems poised to be consumed by the blood tiger, Lin Huang, who has endured in silence for far too long, suddenly unleashes his lethal strike. Cease this. It is all mine. Chapter 17. Successful kill in an instant. Lin Huang explodes with fervor, setting forth at a rapid pace. After just 3 strides, he seamlessly transitions into a flash step, traversing several meters in a heartbeat. With a glinting dagger raised high, he propels himself across the final 4 or 5 meters, plunging the blade into the already weakened abdomen of the crimson tiger, slicing through with brutal precision, eviscerating it in an instant. It is indeed the tiger's sheer size that has revealed its most vulnerable parts. Yet, Lin Huang does not relent after his initial strike. His attacks are meticulously calculated. As the blood tiger lunges to devour the shadow, its immense form completely obscures Lin Huang's swift advance. This results in the shadow being caught off guard, meeting its demise as a bloody dagger cleaves it in two. Gazing upon the carcass of a creature resembling a chicken, Lin Huang cannot help but shake his head. How could you, a mere chicken, aspire to consume a tiger? Do you truly believe that with teeth sprouting from your beak, you become invincible? In a world plagued by undead beasts, many animals, upon death, transform into grotesque forms, often exhibiting significant changes in size. Some, like this chicken, retain their original anatomy, but have grotesquely elongated beaks and rows of sharp teeth. After executing a series of relentless strikes, Lin Huang finds himself considerably drained. Yet his rewards are immense. He never anticipated that this venture would yield the demise of 2 C-class undead beasts. His fortune is astonishing. The chicken's feeble defenses left it vulnerable to his swift execution. Had he faced a creature with greater resilience, he would have hesitated to employ such tactics. After exhausting his combination of attacks, Lin Huang finds himself at the brink of fatigue, capable of delivering only one more effective blow. It is time to attend to the matter at hand. He gazes at the now bloodied tiger, his expression brimming with excitement. The ability of bloodthirst is a skill that all felines may awaken,
yet the likelihood remains exceedingly rare. Moreover, those who consume such cores possess a minuscule chance of acquiring the bloodthirst skill, one of the few abilities obtainable from undead beasts, and the odds are lamentably scarce. Particularly for a skill as perverse as bloodthirst, Lin Huang has not heard of anyone attaining it throughout his previous life spanning centuries. During that time, nearly all tiger undead had perished, and had it not been for the later emergence of a mutated white tiger undead, the tiger species would have been utterly annihilated. To acquire the bloodthirst skill, one must slay a beast in a state of bloodlust and extract its core, which presents a minuscule chance of awakening such a power. Lin Huang excavated the heart of the blood tiger, a grotesque organ the size of a human head. Cradling the heart in one hand and carrying a C-class chicken in the other, he ventured to a relatively secure location. With bated breath, he began to split the heart open, revealing a blood-red core, which he promptly consumed. Bloodthirst, bloodthirst, Lin Huang intoned, fervently wishing for the awakening of this skill. However, the prospect of a mere blood gem leading to such an awakening seemed like a fanciful dream, with odds less than 1 in 10 million. Unbeknownst to him, as he closed his eyes to absorb the core, a dark void emerged behind his head, as if the fabric of space had been torn. In an instant, it devoured all matter within reach, even light itself. Under the immense, almost grotesque gravitational pull, the bisected heart of the blood tiger slowly levitated before vanishing into the abyss. 20 minutes later, Lin Huang opened his eyes. He raised his arms, marveling at the tightness of his muscles, which caused the air to resonate with a low hum. Indeed, the core of the bloodthirsty tiger was exceptional in its enhancement of his physical form. Had he consumed cores of lesser quality, it would have taken 4 or 5 of the same caliber to achieve such an effect. Contentedly, Lin Huang noted that the core of the bloodthirsty tiger had propelled his strength into the mid-tier of C-class. The devouring attribute of the core had enhanced its efficacy by 30% for him. The newfound strength of mid-tier C-class filled him with a sense of power, given that the recent wave of undead had arisen in less than half a day's time. Aside from a few ancient martial families from Huaxia and some bioengineered beings from various nations, most awakened individuals remained below Tier B. Thus, Lin Huang, with his remarkable physical prowess in the mid-tier C, could indeed be deemed a formidable force. If he were to consume the core of that chicken, he might easily break into the high tier of C-class. However, it was evident that this core was more suited for Xiaoyu. After 20 minutes, the chicken was nearly decomposed, and lifting it by the wings threatened to rend it asunder. Lin Huang rubbed his nose and chuckled ruefully, uncertain if the young girl would still be able to consume the core, blood and all. Rising to his feet, he belched, releasing a foul odor that was utterly nauseating. The capacity for such endurance was pushing him to the brink of retching. He couldn't comprehend why his belch carried the stench of decay, as if he had ingested a rotting corpse. Moreover, he felt an uncomfortable bloating in his stomach, akin to having overeaten, despite not having consumed much. Moments before, he had been so agile in battle. Carrying the almost putrid chicken, Lin Huang walked slowly. Those who have eaten their fill are well aware that if one has overeaten, beads of sweat will form on the forehead. Lin Huang now feels utterly fatigued, as if every step he takes is a monumental effort. Sweat seems to be oozing from his pores, not just on his forehead, but all over his body. As he wipes his brow, a peculiar slickness glides across the back of his hand. This startling realization jolts him. It is undoubtedly not the perspiration he anticipated. In the darkness, he cannot discern the nature of the liquid on his hands, yet the overwhelming scent of blood clarifies that it is not sweat, but his own crimson essence. My heavens! Blood flows like sweat. What is happening? Lin Huang is bewildered. Even with his extensive experience, he has never encountered such a bizarre circumstance. His body is drenched in blood. Yet astonishingly, he feels invigorated, as if he could soon scale walls and take on the tide of beasts single-handedly. Suddenly, a fierce rage wells up within him, as memories of Zheng Shiyue and her accomplices murdering his brother flash before his eyes. In that instant, Lin Huang has transformed into a creature of bloodlust. Kill! He bellows, his voice echoing more like that of a recently deceased tiger than a human. That night, the lower-tier corpse beast training grounds of Zone F run red with blood. Chapter 18. An unusual disturbance arises in Zone F, which has erupted with a surge of blood energy. What could this mean? Researchers at the Huaxia Corpse Beast Research Institute have detected the anomaly in Zone F. This area, previously cleansed by humans, is designated for raising corpse beasts, serving as a trial ground for newly awakened humans to enhance their strength. Numerous such trial grounds exist, generally deemed safe under the vigilant monitoring of the Huaxia populace. Any imminent danger is swiftly addressed, and secure shelters are available, as long as the participants retreat to these sanctuaries. They are effectively safe, unless faced with a corpse beast exceeding B-level capabilities, which could breach the shelter and slay the inhabitants. However, in a lower-tier training area, the most formidable beast ranks merely as C-level, making the breach of a secure shelter virtually impossible. Yet now, the energy disturbance detected by the Research Institute has escalated to B-level, and even reaches the pinnacle of B-level intensity. Immediate investigation is ordered. The meticulously cleared trial area must not be compromised, commands the Institute's management. Lin Huang, now in a frenzied state, feels the violent emotions surging within him. Nevertheless, he maintains control. In his quest to unleash his murderous intent, he relentlessly seeks out corpse beasts. Any creature that moves, whether solitary or in groups, will meet a swift demise at his hands. What on earth is happening? Lin Huang is engulfed in confusion, yet he senses an immense power coursing through him. An overwhelming strength reminiscent of a peak existence from a past life, slaughtering corpse beasts as if they were mere dogs. As his energy wanes, Lin Huang gradually regains his composure. He gazes at his blood-soaked hands, stained with both the essence of the corpse beasts and his own. Had he truly stumbled upon a stroke of incredible fortune and acquired the bloodthirst skill? Lin Huang pondered, unable to fully grasp the reality of the situation. This bloodthirst skill was extraordinarily rare. Even in his previous life, he had never heard of anyone attaining such an ability. Consider the implications. If an A-grade powerhouse were to master the bloodthirst skill, their combat prowess could potentially triple in an instant. The combined strength of 2 or 3 times an A-grade power residing within a single individual was tantamount to the collaboration of 3 A-grade warriors. Unless those 3 C-grade fighters acted in perfect unison, the resulting combat capability would be exponentially amplified. He could hardly believe his luck. It seemed as though in this new life, he had been endowed with an extraordinary fate. Although the awakened attribute felt somewhat lackluster, it was precisely what he required. He could not fathom why he had awakened the Devour skill. Unbeknownst to him, with the assistance of the Devour attribute, he had indeed consumed the heart of a corpse beast, a heart as large as a human head, now decaying. This was crucial for awakening the Devour skill. One must consume not only the heart, but also the bloodthirst tiger's core contained within it. Yet, this secret remained unknown to anyone, and the Devour attribute instinctively drew in what the host most needed. Within the safety of the shelter, Xiao Yu waited anxiously for Lin Huang. For reasons unknown, she felt an unsettling premonition that something might befall him, akin to a wife fretting over her husband. Suddenly, the door to the shop swung open, and Xiao Yu sprang to her feet, rushing towards the entrance. "You're back," she exclaimed with delight. But her expression froze when she beheld the newcomer, a slender young man, perhaps in his mid-20s, who was not Lin Huang. "Aside from you, is there anyone else here?" Gu Yi inquired, observing the transition of Xiao Yu's joy to disappointment. Xiao Yu remained silent, her gaze fixed warily on Gu Yi, who had just entered. This young man exuded an aura of danger, as if a mere gesture from him could spell her doom. "Fear not. I am Gu Yi from the Yanhuang Corpse Beast Research Base. Here is my identification," he stated, presenting a credential for her inspection. "The Yanhuang Corpse Beast Research Base?" Xiao Yu scrutinized the document in Gu Yi's hand with skepticism, yet refrained from approaching. Only after she was convinced of its authenticity did she relax her guard. The credentials of the Yanhuang Corpse Beast Research Base were uniquely crafted and could not be forged. She had encountered them before. Seeing Xiao Yu lower her defenses, Gu Yi tucked away his identification and asked once more, "Is there anyone else here besides you?" Xiao Yu nodded. "Yes, I have one teammate. But he left around 9 o'clock and has yet to return." "Has he still not returned?" Gu Yi inquired, his brow furrowing in confusion. "It is now 4 in the morning, and dawn is approaching swiftly. The trial zone during the night remains perilous, and prudent practitioners typically avoid this time, seeking refuge in safe houses. Even those unable to locate a safe house would stay close to companions, finding a relatively secure spot to take turns keeping watch through the darkness." However, Gu Yi was taken aback to hear that someone had actually ventured out of the safe house under the cover of night. Was this a death wish? In Gu Yi's estimation, Lin Huang was likely already dead. He was among the most skilled practitioners still at the Yanhuang base, possessing the fastest speed. On his way, he had witnessed countless corpses of the beastly dead, some even with their cores violently ejected, a testament to the sheer power that had obliterated their bodies. Such force was overwhelming. Only those of B rank and above could possibly withstand it. What level could those still undergoing trials in the lowly F zone truly possess? At best, they might be C rank. At that moment, Lin Huang pushed the door open. Gu Yi's nostrils flared as he caught a whiff of an intense, acrid scent of blood when the door cracked open, prompting him to furrow his brow. Blood-soaked, Lin Huang stepped inside, noticing an unexpected presence in the safe house, a person who appeared to possess considerable strength, which aroused his caution. "Lin Huang?" Xiao Yu inquired.
casting a few puzzled glances at him. Lin Huang circumvented Gu Yi and approached Xiao Yu, nodding slightly. What happened to you? Xiao Yu exclaimed. At that moment, Lin Huang resembled someone who had just emerged from a river of blood. Aside from his blinking eyes, which were clean, he was drenched in gore. Nothing much. I just need to clean up a bit before coming out, Lin Huang replied. Throughout this exchange, Gu Yi remained silent. Recognizing Lin Huang as the teammate Xiao Yu had mentioned, the one who had set out at 9 o'clock, ostensibly to find trouble, Gu Yi was astonished that Lin Huang had managed to return alive. He perceived Lin Huang's strength to be a mere C rank, and the fluctuations of power emanating from him were not particularly strong. Surviving the night in an area teeming with the undead was nothing short of miraculous. Yet, he refrained from voicing his thoughts, intending to inquire about everything that transpired once Lin Huang had cleaned the blood from his body. Chapter 19. Acquaintance Lin Huang discovered a faucet behind a shop, connecting a hose to allow the cold water to cascade over him. Gui. Lin Huang smiled faintly. This individual was known as a killer at the Lin Huang base, or perhaps the foremost assassin, though that title might not yet apply. He had awakened an attribute known as the Shadow, famed for its assassination capabilities, allowing him to blend seamlessly into the night. Even formidable opponents of the same rank found it challenging to detect him. Once he had set his sights on someone, escape was nearly impossible. However, subsequent events at the Lin Huang base led to certain upheavals, resulting in Gu Yi's disappearance. Lin Huang had previously clashed with him. Although Lin Huang possessed formidable combat talent, he was still overpowered by the C-grade agility attribute. Fortunately, their relationship was not one of life and death. This explains why he found himself bathing in the backyard. Gu Yi, one of the guardians of the Lin Huang base, would not pose any threat to Xiao Yu. On the contrary, he would offer protection. As Lin Huang cleansed himself with shower gel and shampoo, he couldn't help but marvel at the wisdom of using a shop as a safe haven at the Lin Huang base. For it truly contained everything one might need. After opening a can of herbal tea, he gulped down a couple of sips and emerged with his hair still damp. Surprisingly clad in a complete set of combat gear. You seem quite familiar with the safe house, Gui remarked. Observing Lin Huang in the battle attire stored in the secret room, a subtle smile gracing his lips, he sensed that this individual was rather intriguing. If one were unfamiliar, they would have perished long ago. Lin Huang tossed a bottle of herbal tea to Gu Yi, never expecting to encounter an acquaintance after his rebirth. The sensation was indeed peculiar. Simultaneously, he harbored a yearning to reunite with his elder brothers, though a persistent feeling gnawed at him that they had truly perished, and it was unlikely he would see them again in this life. Gu Yi accepted the herbal tea, finding Lin Huang's gesture strikingly natural, creating an impression that they shared a deeper familiarity, despite his certainty that he had never met Lin Huang before. After taking a sip of the tea, he dispelled the strange thoughts swirling in his mind and inquired, I am from the Lin Huang base. The base detected energy fluctuations here and sent me to investigate. Your teammate mentioned you were out all night. Did you witness anything unusual? Nothing particularly special, Lin Huang replied, shaking his head. He had anticipated this response, suspecting that Gu Yi must have seen something noteworthy. However, most individuals would typically remain silent, preferring to conceal details. As is human nature, communication requires finesse. Just as he prepared to speak again, Lin Huang added, though I did witness 2 C-grade corpse beasts engaged in battle. One was a bloodthirsty tiger in its bloodthirsty state, and the other was a devil chicken. It seemed as though the leaders of 2 regions' corpse beasts were vying for territory. Gu Yi swallowed the words he had intended to say, yet he found himself skeptical of Lin Huang's account. 2 C-grade corpse beasts? How did you manage to return? He asked, sensing that Lin Huang's strength was not particularly remarkable. Encountering 2 C-grade corpse beasts would typically leave no hope for survival, especially with one being a bloodthirsty tiger in full rage. Do not be astonished. By the time I encountered those 2 corpse beasts, they had already fought to near exhaustion. The chicken was no match for the bloodthirsty tiger, but the tiger was also in a weakened state. Seizing the opportunity, I launched a surprise attack and dispatched them both. As you may have noticed, my strength has just recently reached a breakthrough. Lin Huang emitted a faint wave of energy, and Gu Yi nodded slightly. Indeed, Lin Huang had just experienced a breakthrough, leaping directly from D rank to the mid-C rank, a transformation befitting one who had consumed 2 C rank cores. It would be prudent for all of you to remain indoors until dawn. The outside is perilous. I shall venture out to investigate, Gu Yi remarked before stepping through the door. As he entered the inky darkness of the night, his figure vanished as if a drop of water had merged into a river. This was the essence of shadow manipulation, the most fundamental ability of a shadow attribute awakener, serving as both a means of ambush and self-preservation. All shadow attribute awakeners prioritize the enhancement of this skill. Are you all right? Once Gu Yi had departed, Xiao Yu hurried to Lin Huang's side, grasping his arm and scrutinizing him intently. "Are you injured?" she inquired anxiously, having been genuinely frightened by Lin Huang's bloodied entrance. At that moment, he resembled someone who had just clawed their way out of a mountain of corpses, as though he had endured hellish trials. In truth, Lin Huang had indeed faced such infernal tribulations, almost losing his very essence. Moreover, the repercussions of his bloodlust were considerable. Just past midnight, he had slain 2 corpse beasts, and around 1 o'clock, he had consumed the core of a bloodthirsty tiger. Following that, he engaged in a relentless hunt for half an hour before awakening at 2 o'clock, only to return home. Yet upon waking, he was besieged by excruciating pain, lacking the strength even to walk. This area was not particularly vast, and Lin Huang had been quite close to the safe house upon regaining consciousness. Typically, he would return in about 10 minutes. However, after his bloodlust subsided, he had wandered for nearly 2 hours and lost his way several times. It was not just his body that suffered. His mind was also in a state of disarray. Fortunately, the corpse beasts in the area had been sufficiently intimidated by his previous actions to refrain from emerging. Otherwise, in his dazed state, Lin Huang might have fallen prey to a passing beast. It was only upon reaching the shop that he began to recover. "I have an issue. Your grip on my arm is quite painful," Lin Huang remarked, feeling the ache in his skin, a residual effect of his bloodthirst. Nonetheless, the intensity of his condition was formidable. This represented Lin Huang's current trump card, a lethal technique. After entering the bloodlust state, he could utilize nearly all combat skills he had either created or learned, aside from those innate to his awakening. Were it not for the limitations of his power, he might have attained A-rank prowess in an instant. Even now, should he unleash his full strength, he could contend with B rank, even at the pinnacle. "Oh dear, I apologize," Xiao Yu exclaimed, leaping back like a startled rabbit, filled with remorse. "Aren't you a healer? Please examine my injuries. I am in agony all over," Lin Huang shamelessly requested, settling into a chair as if he desired a massage from Xiao Yu. However, she misinterpreted his intent, pouting as she replied, "I have only learned how to massage. I have yet to master anything else." Xiao Yu's expression was somber as she reminisced about her deceased parents, reflecting on her past mischief and regretting not dedicating herself to the study of medicine, which might have afforded her more time with them. Lin Huang glanced at Xiao Yu, sighed, and gently patted her shoulder, assuring her that everything would eventually be all right. "All will be well. We shall vanquish the corpse beasts and avenge your family," he declared, his eyes glimmering with a dangerous intensity. "Do you also have a corpse beast to slay?" Xiao Yu inquired, sensing a kinship with Lin Huang, both striving towards a common goal. "Indeed," Lin Huang nodded. "Who is it?" Xiao Yu pressed. Lin Huang fell silent, lost in thought. "If I encounter him and possess the strength, I shall assist you in defeating him," Xiao Yu asserted, her confidence stemming from her status as an A-grade awakened human with formidable talent. "There's no need. This vendetta is mine to fulfill," Lin Huang replied. He had been granted a chance for retribution by fate, and he intended to cherish it. After a moment of contemplation, Xiao Yu spoke again. "My enemy is named In Kashi, a corpse beast born from a deceased human, possessing B-grade colossal strength. If you ever cross paths with him and have the power to defeat him, could you assist me in vanquishing this beast? Is he the one who murdered your parents?" Lin Huang asked. "Indeed," Xiao Yu replied emphatically. "He was a friend of my parents in life, yet after his death, he retained his memories and became a powerful corpse beast, immediately seeking vengeance on my family. I will see to it that this debt is repaid. Would you not yearn to slay him with your own hands?" Lin Huang questioned, pondering the depth of her grief. Such profound enmity seemed to require personal retribution for true closure. Xiao Yu shook her head resolutely, declaring, "No, I will not forfeit any opportunity to eliminate my foe, regardless of whether I can do so myself." Lin Huang regarded her, realizing that this young woman was even more resilient and astute than he had anticipated. After a moment of silence, he nodded, "I promise you, should I possess the capability, I will help you defeat Inkashi." His commitment was not contingent upon merely encountering the beast. He felt genuinely moved by Xiao Yu's fortitude. "However, I have a condition of my own," Lin Huang added. "If you encounter my enemy and have the strength, please assist me in eliminating her." "Who is she?" Xiao Yu inquired, her gaze unwavering. "Her name is Zheng Shuriwei," Lin Huang articulated with difficulty. To be honest, he had once loved this name, but now it was steeped in hatred. Another human transformed into a corpse beast? Xiao Yu responded with determination. "I will help you slay her." "Excellent. From this day forth, you shall be my little sister, and I shall aid you in swiftly enhancing your strength." Lin Huang laughed heartily. He relished the notion of having siblings, yet in his previous life, he was an orphan, devoid of parents, let alone brothers or sisters. After being adopted, he lost even the companionship of peers from the orphanage. Now, in the presence of Xiao Yu, he sensed an intimate connection. For Xiao Yu, This marked the stirring of youthful emotions, while for Lin Huang, it embodied a familial sentiment. Sister, Xiao Yu's expression darkened. The narrative seemed to deviate from its intended course. Nonetheless, sister it was. This bond, at least, felt more profound than mere camaraderie. Though they had fought side by side for an entire day and had grown to trust one another immensely. The term teammate paled in comparison to that of sister for Xiao Yu. Sister felt appropriate. Had he directly referred to her as a girlfriend? Xiao Yu might well have been flustered, perhaps even retreating. Was this a tactic employed by Lin Huang? Good brother, Xiao Yu called out, her eyes momentarily glistening with tears. This title was the most intimate she had ever uttered aside from mom and dad. Now, with her parents gone, she found solace in having an elder brother. Despite the special emotions lingering in her heart, at this moment, her feelings were pure. All right, no more tears. With your brother here, you will not suffer again. Lin Huang reassured, embracing Xiao Yu and gently patting her back. After a while, he realized that Xiao Yu had fallen asleep, nestled against his chest. Xiao Yu had not enjoyed a restful slumber for far too long. In the past, her father would soothe her to sleep in just such a manner. Sleep well. Rest up. Once your brother recovers, I will take you to level up. Lin Huang whispered softly. Outside, many of the monsters had been vanquished. During the half-hour of bloodlust, Lin Huang charged into the densest clusters of the undead beasts, where the numbers ranged from 20 to 30, and in the quieter spots, there were still 7 or 8. By the end of that half-hour, he had dispatched 400 to 500 of these creatures, though they were merely E-rank beasts. The sheer volume of their cores could potentially elevate Xiao Yu from the mid-tier D-rank to the peak D-rank, and with just one C-rank core, she could swiftly ascend to C-rank. Lin Huang paused. It dawned on him that in his moment of frenzy, he seemed to have misplaced the C-rank beast core. However, he still remembered the general vicinity, so he was not overly concerned. He would wait for Xiao Yu to awaken before leading her on a search. A C-rank core was trivial compared to his sister's need for sleep. Moreover, although he was gradually recovering from consuming the cores, his condition remained poor, leaving him with only the basic capabilities of an unawakened ordinary person. Around noon, Xiao Yu stirred from her slumber, while Lin Huang was in a relatively spacious area doing push-ups. As she opened her bleary eyes, her first instinct was to reach for something. But her grasp met only emptiness. In a gentle tone laced with a hint of urgency, Xiao Yu called out to her brother, and in an instant, Lin Huang was by her side, his agility remarkable. As he reached out, Xiao Yu was quicker, grasping his hand tightly. She buried her face against his chest, exclaiming, "Brother, you cannot leave me. I fear no one knows how this young girl, endowed with A-grade potential, has survived amidst the perils of lurking corpses and ill-intentioned humans. To evade humanity, she has only dared to reside in the trial grounds swarming with these undead creatures for the past 6 months, enduring untold hardships, known only to her. Now that I have encountered you, I feel a sense of security." She clung to Lin Huang resolutely, unwilling to let go. Lin Huang chuckled softly, patting her back. "All right. Silly girl, I will not leave you. Eat something, and I will take you to collect the cores of the corpses, so you can level up." Xiao Yu nodded eagerly. Unbeknownst to Lin Huang, a team of adventurers was approaching their vicinity. Chapter 21. The training squad. Lin Huang, with a satisfied Xiao Yu by his side, followed a path etched in his memory, gathering the still lingering cores of the slain corpses hidden in the grass along the way. Hours passed, and the bodies of the deceased corpses began to decay, disintegrating into gas that dissipated into the air, the whereabouts of which Lin Huang could not ascertain. In his previous life, they had discovered that these rapidly vanishing corpses seemed to nourish the next generation of undead, a peculiar phenomenon indeed. Lin Huang and Xiao Yu moved at a steady pace, with Xiao Yu never loosening her grip on him, resembling an affectionate puppy following her master. They wasted no time. Aside from collecting some cores along the way, they had no other distractions. Lin Huang's objective was a C-grade core, which was worth far more than all the E-grade cores scattered around. "Brother, these cores are so beautiful. I always wanted to make a bracelet out of them. But I've been focused on improving my strength and never got the chance," Xiao Yu exclaimed, her large eyes sparkling as she spoke to Lin Huang. His pockets were already bulging with cores, and he smiled at her, saying, "You can use these cores to make your bracelet. After all, they are merely E-grade. Absorbing them would be a waste of time for you now. Let us find that C-grade core for you to absorb, and you will likely break through to C-grade. These E-grade beads can be left aside." Lin Huang smiled, feeling a softness within him now that he had a sister. Once the youngest among 3 brothers, he had always been shielded by his 2 elder siblings. Now, with a demanding little sister, he found unexpected joy in the role. Alas, his 2 brothers were no longer around. Had they been, they would surely have adored this sister as well. "Thank you, brother," Xiao Yu replied joyfully, when she labored alone. All the pressure weighed heavily upon her, stifling the innocence of her youth. "Hasten your steps, though this area appears desolate.
It is conceivable that other practitioners may venture here for their trials. Should someone else happen upon the C-grade core, all of your brother's efforts would be in vain. All right. I will heed your advice, brother, Xiaoyu replied, nodding obediently, her demeanor remarkably docile as if she would acquiesce to whatever Lin Huang suggested. Meanwhile, a team of adventurers arrived at the site where Lin Huang had lost the C-grade core. Erhu, I'm so exhausted. I need to sit and rest for a moment, a sweet, high-pitched voice called out. Instantly, a burly man with the build of a tiger scampered over. Are you tired again, Ming Ming? Very well, let us take a break. Such dramatics. After merely walking 400 or 500 meters, she claims to be fatigued. If it weren't for the presence of you brutes protecting her, I would have long since struck her down, a woman clad in revealing attire remarked. Her voice gruff and her appearance almost masculine, standing about 185 meters tall. If she were a man, she would exude a striking presence. However, on a woman, her masculine energy seemed rather excessive. Heh, if only you could be as adorable as Ming Ming, we would gladly protect you too. But on another note, Nyang, your figure is indeed exceptional. How about we have some fun tonight? I shall protect you, and should anyone dare challenge you, I will fight them fiercely. A slender man, with lecherous eyes fixated on Wu Nyang's ample bosom, spoke, drooling at the sight. Huh, with your scrawny frame? Wu Nyang scoffed, cupping her generous curves and casting a disdainful glance at the diminutive man before turning away, her long legs creating a gust of wind as she seated herself. It must be said, Wu Nyang possessed an enviable physique, yet her countenance left much to be desired. The slender man, unfazed by the rebuff, accepted the banter. This group often jested in such a manner. Despite some internal discord, they remained united in battle. Be cautious, there are people ahead. A young man clutching a sniper rifle suddenly declared, the only one among them who seemed composed and normal, likely due to the temperament required of a marksman. People? Everyone stood alert except for Ming Ming. Ming Ming, rise. The young man with the sniper rifle urged. Lu Ming Ming pouted, feeling intimidated by her cool-headed leader. Conceal yourselves well, the sniper said, taking the lead into a thicket, aiming his rifle to observe the approaching figures. Go search over there. I recall it should be nearby, Lin Huang instructed, leading Xiaoyu to the spot where the C-grade core had been lost. As they searched diligently, it was evident that Xiaoyu's focus lay not on the task at hand, but rather in staying close to Lin Huang. Yes, there's nothing over there. I've already checked, she replied. Xiaoyu gazed at Lin Huang without turning her head, and stated that she had already searched. You haven't even gone. Lin Huang replied helplessly, shaking his head. His sister was simply too clingy. He had no choice but to search for it himself. In truth, it would be quite challenging for Xiaoyu to locate it, as the core in question was a dark attribute, a magical core, which made it inherently difficult to find. Comparatively, Lin Huang, who had personally encountered and even slain the demon chicken, would possess a more precise sense of the core's location. After an extensive search, Lin Huang narrowed down the area. They seemed to be looking for something. A faint glimmer shone in Wu Nyang's eyes as she observed Lin Huang, and Xiaoyu not far away, her expression shifting. There are cores everywhere. We've picked up nearly 50 along the way. These two must also be searching for cores, she remarked. They had originally intended to enter for training, primarily to assist Lu Ming Ming in enhancing her abilities. Though her talent was commendable, her laziness was a drawback, which prompted their leader to send them to guide Lu Ming Ming in her training. Surprisingly, they had encountered hardly any corpse beasts, yet the cores were plentiful, scattered abundantly on the ground. They're not searching for those E-grade cores. It must be something of greater significance, whispered a young man with a sniper rifle. He observed through the scope as Lin Huang and Xiaoyu diligently sought something. Just beyond the nearby building, several conspicuous corpse beast cores gleamed under the sunlight. Yet Lin Huang completely disregarded them. Thus, the young man with the sniper rifle was certain that Lin Huang was not in pursuit of cores. Wait, that one is. Suddenly, the young man holding the rifle felt a jolt throughout his body, while Wu Nyang's eyes brightened significantly. C-grade core, they exclaimed almost in unison, and in the next moment, the young man swiftly pulled the trigger. In Chapter 22, Sniping, Lin Huang further reduced the search area, and finally sensed a relatively pure and advanced energy signature behind a pile of rubble, reminiscent of the demon chicken from the previous night. Approaching the stone, he kicked it aside and discovered a small pit behind it, within which lay a dark, translucent orb. This particular hue of translucent orb was indeed difficult to detect in the shadow of the stone, but now, exposed to the sunlight, it appeared quite evident. Reflecting a faint glow, the waves of C-grade energy continuously surrounded the core, gradually dissipating into the air at an exceedingly slow pace. The cores of corpse beasts would eventually fade, albeit much slower than their physical forms. Lin Huang let out a sigh of relief. This C-grade core was undoubtedly a treasure for Xiao Yu at their current level, especially since cores from such minor leaders often possessed unique attributes. If devoured perfectly, it could enhance their own abilities. As Lin Huang bent down to collect the core, he suddenly felt a surge of warning and leaped back instinctively. With a sudden bang, a deep crater appeared not far from Lin Huang's location. Had he failed to evade in time, the bullet would have pierced through his ribs, striking his vital organs. Who dares? Lin Huang seethed. In his worldview, during a desperate struggle between humanity and the undead beasts, it was imperative for humans to unite. At the very least, one could adopt the solitary path of a hunter like Lin Huang and his brothers, never turning against their own kind. Yet, here was someone willing to take lethal action over a mere C-grade core of an undead beast. Had he not dodged in time, he would now be lying lifeless on the ground. Such individuals, devoid of any sense of kinship or honor, were unfortunately not rare. Lin Huang did not expect all in this world to possess a broad perspective. However, should he encounter one who would kill their own for personal gain, he would undoubtedly eliminate that person. To Lin Huang, such a being was even more detestable than the undead beasts themselves, posing a far greater threat. A group of individuals wielding a sniper rifle revealed themselves, with a young man steadily aiming at Lin Huang. Wu Ernyang and a burly man shielded the sniper, preventing Lin Huang from advancing, while the diminutive figure of the oily shrimp had seemingly vanished. As for Meng Meng, they were merely a charming distraction. Leave this place, and I'll spare your lives, the young sniper coldly declared, though his heart raced with excitement. That C-grade core was a supreme treasure in this region, capable of propelling him to D-grade in a remarkably short time. Despite Lin Huang's rapid ascent in strength, no one else could match such a pace. It was akin to a novice player leveling up at a speed comparable to that of a seasoned beta tester. Such a feat was simply impossible. Neither skill nor understanding of the undead beast's weaknesses could be compared at this early stage of the outbreak. Even those dedicated to studying the undead had not yet grasped Lin Huang's capabilities. After all, 3 centuries of accumulated experience could not be fully understood in just a year, and the effective human resistance had only recently begun to form. Research on the undead had only commenced 6 months prior. In this context, who could surpass Lin Huang in the speed of exterminating undead beasts at the same level? Moreover, Lin Huang possessed a devouring attribute that facilitated his rapid enhancement. Though he may become ineffective in later stages, in the early phases, he was invincible. Coupled with Lin Huang's combat techniques from his previous life, it was no wonder he had ascended to a C-grade practitioner in just 3 days since his revival, and he was already at the mid-tier. Before encountering Lin Huang, even someone as extraordinarily talented as Xiao Yu took nearly half a year to progress from E-grade to D-grade. Were it not for Lin Huang, Xiao Yu would have remained uncertain about how long it would take to reach D-grade, let alone C-grade. As the young man wielding the sniper rifle awakened his mechanical abilities amidst the onslaught of corpses, he found himself at the D rank. After a year of arduous effort, he had barely reached the pinnacle of D rank, yet the prospect of breaking into C rank seemed an insurmountable challenge. To achieve this, he required either the cores of 1,000 E-grade undead beasts, 100 D-grade cores, or a single core from a C-grade beast. The first 2 options demanded an immense investment of time to hunt these creatures, not to mention the uncertainty of successfully acquiring such quantities. Even if he were to capture them, the process of absorbing the cores would be protracted. Taking the E-grade cores as a reference, a D-grade practitioner would take an average of 10 minutes to absorb each core without any special methods devised by Lin Huang. Thus, for 1,000 cores, he would need an astounding 10,000 minutes. Even with an endless supply of E-grade cores, it would still require nearly 170 hours to break through. If he were to consider D-grade cores, averaging half an hour each, it would amount to around 150 hours. For a C-grade core, just an hour would suffice. Could the sniper remain unperturbed? In this apocalyptic world, time is the essence of strength, and strength equates to everything. Lin Huang gazed intently at the sniper, who was concealed behind 2 towering flesh shields. It was evident that this individual possessed a B-grade mechanical aptitude, a formidable trait that granted him an innate sensitivity to various materials, enabling him to forge an array of machinery and weaponry. For warriors, this skill allowed them to craft weapons tailored to their own needs, merging seamlessly with their creations to unleash formidable combat prowess. Should he pursue the path of manufacturing, he could evolve into a terrifying engineer, capable of summoning countless small robots, or even transforming himself into a machine, unleashing ion cannons with bare hands. Such potential is indeed fearsome, yet this temperament could spell disaster for the future. Was that shot fired by you? Lin Huang inquired, his heart ablaze with fury. Had it not been for his superior level and extensive combat experience, he feared that anyone else would have perished from that shot. Indeed, it was a stroke of luck. If the sniper wished to survive,
He ought to depart promptly. The sniper, recognizing Lin Huang as a formidable adversary, understood that he was the first to evade a bullet fired by him. Even their organization's B-grade leader could only maneuver to avoid a shot after it had been fired. No one else had ever accomplished such a feat. Yet this man had succeeded, a testament to his prowess and fortuitousness that could not be underestimated. Chapter 23. Deception. While achieving B rank was impossible, C rank remained a distinct possibility. With his small team of 4D ranks, all proficient in cooperative techniques, they should be more than capable of handling a C rank adversary. You have 2 bullets left, don't you? Lin Huang pressed on, refusing to retreat. He had encountered this sniper rifle before. It was a transitional weapon favored by those with mechanical attributes in the early stages. This armament relied on compressed air and harnessed energy from the environment to condense bullets, generating formidable striking power. When the trigger was pulled, it unleashed air bullets, which, while potent, had a limited range and were relatively easy to evade or block. However, in the sniping stance, it would fire energy projectiles, which replenished over time, typically capping at 3. While he knew quite a bit, 2 bullets were more than sufficient to claim your life, the sniper confidently asserted. He did not dare claim perfect accuracy, but under his mechanical prowess, his bullets had an exceptionally high hit rate. Is that so? Lin Huang retorted with a sardonic smile, finding the young ones excessively self-assured. Such rudimentary weaponry posed no threat to Lin Huang, who had once stood far above them, and now he had ascended another tier. As he spoke, Lin Huang's form flickered, darting toward a thicket on his left. Oil shrimp. Wu Eryong and the burly man with a scruffy beard shouted in alarm. While the sniper's expression shifted dramatically, that thicket was where Oil Shrimp had concealed himself, poised to ambush Lin Huang. But he had not anticipated being discovered and pursued with such resolve. Sea level, it must be C. The onlookers quickly discerned Lin Huang's formidable strength. Although they believed they could capture Lin Huang in a group, if Oil Shrimp faced a sea-level expert alone, it would be tantamount to certain death, especially given that Lin Huang's speed clearly surpassed that of the stealthy Oil Shrimp. Retreat, Oil Shrimp. The sniper bellowed, unleashing an energy projectile, its explosive sound racing toward Lin Huang. The sniper had calculated with precision, given Lin Huang's speed, if he aimed to eliminate Oil Shrimp, he would inevitably be struck by his own bullet. However, at that moment, Lin Huang abruptly pivoted, leaping several meters in 2 strides, reaching for the sea-level core on the ground. You dare! The sniper roared in fury. This sea-level beast core held greater significance for him than Oil Shrimp's life. Bang! Another shot fired. The sniper had even charged past 2 meat shields for this core, which was of utmost importance to him. Yet, Lin Huang had already evaded, standing aside with a bemused expression as he watched the sniper. You've run out of bullets now, Lin Huang remarked with a smile. The sniper's face flickered between shades of green and white. He finally understood why Lin Huang had remained so calm until the critical moment. He had intended to bait the sniper into wasting his ammunition. Huh, even so, we are 5. And you are but 1, the sniper sneered. Oil Shrimp returned to the group, with Lu Mingming rising from the rear, albeit still lingering at the back. 5 of you. There's strength in numbers. Lin Huang mused. You'd better hurry and obediently hand over that sea-level core. It belongs to us. Lu Mingming exclaimed sharply. She had been hiding behind, initially believing that Bailey Sun would effortlessly procure the C-grade core to enhance her strength. With that C-grade core in her possession, she could elevate herself from an E rank to the pinnacle of D rank, which would be splendid. However, she did not anticipate that the usually arrogant Bailey Sun would fail to secure the C-grade core and instead be deceived into revealing his trump card. Consequently, Lu Mingming resolved to take matters into her own hands. Oh no, to be precise, she had no intention of engaging directly in combat with a C-grade adversary. She wasn't that foolish. Is this the core of the corpse beast yours? Lin Huang slowly bent down, picking up the core from the ground, playing with it in his hands. Without the suppressive fire of a sniper rifle, the few individuals present dared not approach. You'd best relinquish it, Bailey Sun warned. Raising his sniper rifle with a fierce gaze, he was determined to obtain that C-grade core at all costs. Huh, I know your bullet is about to condense soon, but I advise you against acting rashly. Otherwise, evading won't be as simple as it seems. Lin Huang chuckled, then brought the C-grade core to his mouth. Bold of you. Do you know who I am? Quickly put down my C-grade core. Lu Mingming exclaimed in a panic. Her brother had sent these individuals to assist her in gaining strength, but progress was still too slow. If she could acquire this C-grade core, she would undoubtedly be the center of attention upon her return to the mountain. Lu Mingming believed that whatever she desired, she would undoubtedly obtain. Thus, seeing Lin Huang about to consume the core filled her with rage, prompting her to dash out of the protective range when Bailey Sun and the others were not paying attention. A glint of brilliance flashed in Lin Huang's eyes. His initial intention was to capture the sniper, but unexpectedly, he found himself seizing this little girl instead. With Lin Huang's experience, he easily discerned that the 4 D-rank cultivators were there solely to safeguard this E-rank little girl. This little girl was quite delightful. Such capriciousness provided Lin Huang an opportunity. In a swift motion, Lin Huang advanced, capturing Lu Mengmeng and retreating to his previous position. Bailey Sun and the others were taken aback. This was the leader's younger sister. And if anything unfortunate were to happen, they would not escape unscathed. Stand back. The first to lose his composure was the burly man, who felt a connection to Lu Mengmeng that transcended mere hierarchical orders. He secretly harbored affection for this headstrong young lady, despite his rugged appearance. A closer inspection revealed his skin was quite youthful, indicating he was still relatively young, albeit with a rather unique awakened attribute. As the burly man rushed forward, the once flawless formation immediately fell apart. But it was not enough. Lin Huang promptly hurled the little girl away. Indeed, upon seeing this, the burly man's eyes nearly turned crimson as he unleashed all his strength, pursuing Lu Mengmeng to catch her before she fell. "Baru, come back!" Wu Ernyang and Bailey Sun shouted, but it seemed Baru did not hear them, and at that moment, Lin Huang was already upon them. Die! Upon witnessing Lin Huang's approach, Wu Ernyang's eyes immediately gleamed with intensity as she raised her hefty hammer, which then came crashing down with formidable force. This is a petrification attribute. Lin Huang was taken aback. He had initially presumed this ruggedly featured woman possessed strength-based abilities, only to discover she wielded the power of petrification. This was a miscalculation. In the fleeting moment that Wu Ernyang's hammer descended, Lin Huang attempted to retreat, but found himself paralyzed, nearly toppling over. Simultaneously, a dagger glinting with a chilling light had already appeared before him, and the muzzle of Bai Lixuan's firearm was unwaveringly aimed at him. "Did you think my brother was without allies?" A sweet yet furious voice resounded, causing Bai Lixuan and the others to experience a sudden wave of dizziness. Chapter 24. Decisive Killings. Well done, you heir. Lin Huang silently praised, regaining his composure as he swiftly pulled Bai Lixuan away. Wu Ernyang's true attribute was merely B-level, and her petrification ability was not a skill derived from D-level comprehension, but rather a passive skill that came as a natural talent, akin to Lin Huang's devouring effect. Its duration was exceedingly brief, lasting only a mere moment. From the outset, Lin Huang's objective had been to eliminate Bai Lixuan, an individual who would slaughter humanity for personal gain. Such a person was marked for death in Lin Huang's eyes. The mechanical attribute was indeed formidable, capable of producing countless machines with astonishing power in the later stages. Allowing those devoid of a sense of national duty to grow would pose a threat not much less than that of the undead beasts. As for the remaining individuals, although Lin Huang could swiftly slice their throats within a fleeting second, they were not deemed essential targets for elimination. If they could survive, Lin Huang was not a person inclined towards indiscriminate killing, save for the undead beasts. Bai Lixuan. The seconds swiftly elapsed, and the remaining members of the sheeping team, who had evaded Lin Huang's grasp, displayed expressions of horror. They had never anticipated that the seemingly harmless young girl they had overlooked could induce such dizziness. At this moment, their core, Bai Lixuan, was surprisingly restrained by a deeply skilled sea-level individual. "What do you intend to do? I warn you, we are from Sheeping Mountain. If you know what's good for you, release our captain at once." Yu Xia bellowed in fury, standing not far from Lin Huang, yet they dared not approach. Sheeping Mountain? Lin Huang was taken aback. This organization had a notorious reputation in his previous life, being recognized as a third force alongside the undead beasts and humanity. These individuals harbored no concept of race, centering everything around their own interests, engaging in pillaging, arson, and murder whenever it served their purposes. They were truly deranged. Such individuals were not uncommon. The dangers of the apocalypse extended beyond just the threats posed by the undead beasts. Groups like Sheeping Mountain represented one category, as did those who were members of terrorist organizations even before the outbreak of the undead tide. They had always held the belief that humanity was filthy, and with the advent of the apocalypse, they acted with impunity, perpetrating violence against fellow humans, proving to be even more terrifying than the undead beasts. Because they bear no distinction from humans, the corpses of beasts exude the aura of decay, yet they remain oblivious to the imminent threat posed by those around them, who might suddenly erupt into violence. If the scoundrels of Sheeping Mountain would still resort to killing humans for some ulterior motive, then those terrorists are entirely driven by the sheer desire to take lives. Fortunately, in Huaxiao, whether before or after the outbreak of the corpse tide, such terrorists are relatively scarce. In contrast, their numbers have proliferated in Europe and America, where certain nations have paid dearly for their past misdeeds. Members of awakened terrorist organizations are no longer manageable by those states. Previously, these nations had retained such organizations to create turmoil for smaller countries, aiming to reap the benefits for themselves. But now, each member of these terrorist factions possesses formidable abilities. Although the military forces of those nations have also gained powers. They once relied on conventional weaponry for victory. Now, with the deterrent effect of such weaponry diminished, the balance of power has shifted, leading to a rapid escalation of conflict. Imagine, after decades or even centuries of evasion like hounds, when these terrorist organizations finally possess the capability to counterattack, how could they possibly show mercy? Furthermore, the individuals within these organizations are reckless, often resorting to tactics such as human bombs. Once they awaken their abilities, their reckless retaliation becomes a force no one can withstand. Consequently, in just the span of a year, a superpower that once dominated the globe for centuries has begun to decay at an alarming rate, teetering on the brink of disintegration. That nation is merely one that prioritizes self-interest. Its foundational principles of liberty and peace have become starkly misaligned with its current reality. As Lin Huang's thoughts spiraled, a cold smile crept across his face. It would have sufficed to consider it as merely the act of a rogue from Sheeping Mountain. But since it was declared so, all present were likely doomed. Sensing Lin Huang's murderous intent, Li Xuan, caught in his grasp, trembled, and exclaimed, "What are you planning to do? What do you think I intend?" Lin Huang retorted, "You, a human devoid of any sense of racial identity, are even less than a corpse beast." As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Huang exerted force, lifting Li Xuan high before slamming him violently to the ground. Li Xuan coughed out a mouthful of blood, feeling his very organs shift within him. "Die," Lin Huang declared, rubbing his hands together and raising them high. Li Xuan's pupils constricted as he cried out, "No, spare me." Yet at that moment, Lin Huang showed no signs of mercy, delivering a brutal strike. A sharp crack echoed as Li Xuan abruptly ceased to breathe. Lin Huang stood, fully aware that his blow had rendered Li Xuan lifeless. Even stone would crumble under such force. Nevertheless, Lin Huang wished to leave him with a complete body. After all, he still counted as a human. You actually dared. The onlookers were stunned, unable to fathom how this individual, aware of his opponent's affiliation with Sheeping Mountain, still had the audacity to take a life. Even more astonishing was the fact that his decisive action stemmed from merely hearing the name Sheeping. Lin Huang rose and gazed at the few remaining individuals, contemplating whether to spare or slay them. His earlier murderous intent had merely been a fleeting thought. In reality, Sheeping Mountain was still but a modest hill, and many within were merely seeking refuge within an organization. To indiscriminately extinguish their lives would be an act of senseless cruelty. While it was true that these individuals might be susceptible to brainwashing, it was not yet the time for such drastic measures. A bold idea suddenly struck Lin Huang, and a smirk curled at the corners of his mouth. "Very well, take the body of your captain back with you. Remember, do not slaughter your own kind over trivial matters. Our common enemy is the corpse beasts. Should I ever witness any of you devolving into such savagery, I shall not hesitate to eliminate you one by one. Bear in mind, those who slaughter their own kind shall meet their end at my hands. We are human, not corpse beasts," Lin Huang declared, resolutely deciding to let these individuals go. Yu Xia and Wu Ernyan were left in stunned silence. They had assumed Lin Huang had slain Li Sun due to the latter's attempt to seize the invaluable C-grade core. Yet the real reason behind the conflict was Li Sun's murderous intent towards them. Indeed, if Li Sun sought to kill them, it was only natural for Lin Huang to retaliate. However, what was this talk of those who slaughter their own kind shall meet their end? Did such principled individuals truly exist in this world? It was utterly laughable. Such a person seemed like a legendary sage. Yet, weren't sages typically focused on imparting wisdom? Why, then, did this man resort to violence so readily? Chapter 25, Pursuit. But now, was it time to seek vengeance for Li Sun? That was a jest. Li Sun was the strongest among them. The remaining four included Lu Meng, who was merely a cute figure devoid of any combat ability, while the three others, all D-grade, had little chance against a C-grade opponent. Had it been someone else, there might have been a glimmer of hope, but the presence of this individual loomed large, instilling a sense of overwhelming pressure that extinguished any desire to engage. Take him away, and remember my words. Do not aspire to be a good person, but strive to be human. Lin Huang waved his hand dismissively and turned to leave, casually handing over the C-grade core that had ignited Li Sun's murderous intent to Xiao Yu. Subsequently, Xiao Yu, linking arms with Lin Huang, began to collect the corpse beast cores scattered across the ground, oblivious to the world around them. Lin Huang had promised to craft a bracelet for Xiao Yu, and he would not renege on that promise. There were plenty of cores on the ground, ample enough to create a bracelet, a necklace, an anklet, rings, and earrings, a complete set of jewelry. Though the cores of corpse beasts would gradually dissipate, Lin Huang possessed a unique method to preserve them. While they could not be kept indefinitely, their longevity was considerable,
allowing for future creations once they began to fade. Yu Xia and the others watched Lin Huang and Xiao Yu, uncertain of how to proceed. The abundance of cores on the ground was immensely tempting. Yet they had initially collected far fewer upon entering, and now they had gathered more than anticipated. Exchanging glances, Yu Xia and Wu Ernian made the decision to depart. Despite the allure of the cores, their own lives took precedence. Wu Ernyang hoisted the lifeless body of Bailey Sun upon her shoulders, while the burly man, adorned with a scruffy beard, slung the unconscious Lu Mengmeng over his own. Together, they departed. Lin Huang turned to observe the retreating trio, specifically fixating on the form of Bailey Sun draped across Wu Ernyang's shoulder. At the moment she lifted him, Lin Huang faintly perceived a barely discernible mechanical sound. Yet upon closer inspection, it eluded his ears. A look of uncertainty crossed his face, but he soon dismissed the matter, attributing the sound to the rustling of the grass beneath Wu Ernyang and her companion's feet. He redirected his attention to collecting the cores scattered on the ground alongside Xiao Yu. Oblivious to the subtle tremor that coursed through Bailey Sun's body on Wu Ernyang's shoulder, which went unnoticed even by her. In the shadows, Gu Yi had been closely observing Lin Huang, finding his actions particularly appealing. It was advantageous to eliminate individuals like Bailey Sun at the earliest opportunity. The current populace, still reeling from the recent outbreak of the zombie tide, lacked foresight. Should someone like Bailey Sun grow stronger, he would undoubtedly pose a significant threat to humanity. However, Gu Yi was perplexed by Lin Huang's decision to let Bailey Sun's accomplice escape. Did he not fear retribution? While others might be oblivious, Gu Yi, a key member of the Yanhuang base in the northwest, was well aware of the organization known as Sheeping Mountain, rumored to be led by an A-grade awakened individual. The leader possessed B-grade strength, likely surpassing Gu Yi's own capabilities. If that individual sought vengeance, even Lin Huang's notable prowess and superior combat awareness might falter against such overwhelming power. Intrigued by Lin Huang, Gu Yi followed him, recognizing that, regardless of the moral compass guiding him, he clearly had humanity's interests at heart. With commendable strength, Gu Yi contemplated the possibility of integrating Lin Huang into the Yanhuang base as a warrior. Yet, as he trailed behind, a sense of unease began to surface. Lin Huang, after initially collecting the cores from the ground, began to divert his path with Xiao Yu, seemingly indifferent to the remaining cores, which he left behind. Gu Yi, puzzled, sent a message to the Yanhuang base to send someone to gather the cores while he continued to follow Lin Huang. Xiao Yu, too, was puzzled by Lin Huang's disregard for the cores, albeit E-grade. Their considerable quantity could still prove beneficial to both her and the C-grade Lin Huang. Nonetheless, she refrained from questioning him, choosing instead to accompany him. Having achieved C-grade, she could now command 2 zombie beasts of her level and had awakened a second skill, Charge. This skill allowed her to direct the zombie beasts to charge on her behalf, which would undoubtedly prove invaluable in the future, becoming one of her most essential abilities as a controller. After a while, Xiao Yu began to grasp Lin Huang's intentions, as they encountered the figures of Wu Ernyang and the others who had just departed. "Brother, why are you following them?" she whispered. Indeed, Lin Huang squandered time not enhancing his strength, solely to track Wu Ernyang and her companions. The locale of Sheeping Mountain is no benign territory, Lin Huang remarked. Yet he refrained from elaborating. He could hardly divulge to Xiao Yu that in a century or two, Sheeping Mountain would evolve into the most formidable bandit organization in the Northwest, not only preying on corpse beasts, but also targeting gifted human awakeners to augment their own powers. This calamity is destined to unfold in a century or two. By the time of Lin Huang's era, the influence of Sheeping Mountain would be insurmountable. It represents a malignant tumor for humanity, one that the Yanhuang base in the Northwest yearns to eradicate. However, Sheeping Mountain, fortified by its treacherous terrain, consistently thwarted the valiant warriors of the Yanhuang base, leading to a stalemate where both sides kept their distance, allowing Sheeping Mountain to grow increasingly audacious. Nonetheless, their predation of human prodigies had somewhat subsided, seemingly in concordance with a tacit agreement with the higher echelons of the Yanhuang base in the Northwest. Presently, Lin Huang's objective is to seize the opportunity to dismantle this organization while its power remains unformidable. Moreover, if his memory serves him correctly, there exists a potential future stronghold of corpse beasts within Sheeping Mountain, currently in a gestation phase, presided over by a grotesquely enhanced biological entity. Lin Huang was uncertain whether it was indeed a corpse beast. Regardless, when the 3 brothers once besieged this creature, they failed to vanquish it. Its physical development was undeniably more resilient than that of his second brother's indestructible form. Should he consume the core of that entity, Lin Huang surmised that his own physique would be fortified beyond measure, a pivotal factor for his quest for vengeance. Had it not been for the machinations of those at Sheeping Mountain,
Lin Huang doubted he would have recalled the events from a decade past. In hindsight, it now appeared to be an opportunity. Suddenly, the trio from Sheeping Mountain halted their advance, prompting Lin Huang to swiftly pull Xiao Yu into concealment. Yoxia glanced behind, his acute awareness as an awakened one attuned to the nuances of being followed. Though his current strength was still modest, Lin Huang's tracking skills were commendable. Yet Yoxia sensed an unsettling disquiet, akin to a sixth sense. "What is the matter, Yoxia?" Wu Ernyang paused, scanning the surroundings with her gaze. Though the spark of concern did not flicker in her eyes. "Nothing. I just have a feeling we might be followed," Yoxia replied, shaking his head. Though the gravity of his expression spoke volumes. "Is it a person or a corpse beast?" Wu Ernyang inquired further. Uncertain, Yoxia shook his head. "In any case, we must exercise caution." With that, the trio resumed their journey, albeit with a significantly convoluted route, seemingly intentional, and their pace quickened considerably. "Have they discovered us?" Lin Huang pondered, yet soon realized that Yoxia and the others had merely heightened their vigilance, without actually detecting their presence. "Be cautious, you error. Sheeping Mountain should not be far from here. We shall soon arrive at the bandit stronghold. You will remain at the foot of the mountain while I ascend alone," Lin Huang stated. This decision was made with Xiao Yu's safety in mind. With her strength now at sea level, once they acquired 2 sea-level corpse beasts, it would become increasingly difficult for anyone to harm her. Although Sheeping Mountain may not be the treacherous lair it was in a past life, the unpredictable dangers it harbors remain a source of concern. Lin Huang could not foresee these threats, hence his reluctance to take Xiao Yu into peril. However, Xiao Yu simply shook her head, uttering a single word, short yet unequivocal. Observing the determination in her gaze, Lin Huang resolutely abandoned his attempt to persuade her otherwise. Though their time together had been brief, he had come to understand Xiao Yu's character. Once she made a decision, not even 8 horses could turn her back. Nevertheless, having Xiao Yu alongside him would undoubtedly enhance his combat capabilities. With her ability to incapacitate foes and his own mid-sea level strength, he felt fearless against B-level adversaries. Should they encounter a B-level opponent lacking in combat skills, a counterattack could even be within reach. In this era, however, it was unlikely for anyone to discuss combat techniques in Lin Huang's presence. After all, he had fought for over 300 years, mastering various techniques that were not merely boastful claims. Moreover, in his past life, his swiftness attribute was rooted in a technical approach to combat. His prowess was foundational to his strength. It was no wonder he had navigated the apocalypse for a century with just a modest sea-level attribute. Along their journey, Lin Huang shared with Xiao Yu some methods for future advancement. Upon reaching B-level, progress would slow considerably, requiring substantial time and effort. At this stage, the focus shifted to enhancing the potency of one's skills. This was a phase that demanded significant dedication. Mere accumulation of corpse beast cores would not suffice to facilitate advancement. Beyond B-level lay the formidable A-level, a threshold and challenge where countless individuals found themselves perpetually stalled. Ideally, those with A-level talent should attain A-level status. However, reality often diverged from this expectation. Many A-level awakened individuals never reached that pinnacle, while some B-level or even C-level talents, like Lin Huang, managed to attain A-level practitioner status through fortuitous circumstances. In his pursuit to surpass the limitations of his innate abilities, Lin Huang devoted over a century to breaking through to A-level. Upon achieving it, he entered an entirely different realm. His combat techniques were honed during his time at B-level, and his expertise could even guide A-level practitioners. Had his talent not been confined to a merely swift attribute, his combat prowess would undoubtedly render him invincible at the A-level. It is noteworthy that while most individuals labor extensively to create a skill or combat technique, Lin Huang effortlessly devised an entire arsenal of combat skills, each more versatile than the last. Alas, had his aptitude been slightly superior, he might not have developed such extraordinary combat techniques. Aside from some knowledge aimed at enhancing strength, Professor Lin Huang primarily provided Xiao Yu with information regarding corpse beasts. For Xiao Yu, mastering this knowledge is of utmost importance. Having reached the A rank, Xiao Yu is capable of simultaneously controlling 2 corpse beasts of equal caliber as herself, along with dozens of others that are 1 rank lower. As for even lower-ranked corpse beasts, an A-rank controller can command as many as desired. However, these lower-tier beasts are of little utility in high-level combat, where even a slight ripple can reduce them to ashes. Xiao Yu listened with rapt attention, captivated not only by the subject matter Lin Huang discussed, but also by Lin Huang himself. Any young woman encountering a man as learned and formidable as Lin Huang would inevitably feel a stir of admiration, especially since Xiao Yu had fought alongside him for quite some time. She noted that the longer she spent in Lin Huang's company, the more intrigued she became. There seemed to be a veil of mystery surrounding him, obscuring her understanding Yet this did not deter her. Even if a great mountain loomed over Lin Huang, Xiaoyu still felt an overwhelming sense of safety emanating from him, embodying a sense of reliance. As time passed, the trio reached the foot of Sheeping Mountain. Lin Huang surveyed the surroundings. In a previous life, he had visited Sheeping Mountain, contemplating whether he could eradicate it, but ultimately, he had failed. At that time, the mountain was riddled with illusions crafted by those possessing hallucinatory abilities, leading travelers astray. Now, however, the scenery around Sheeping Mountain appeared rather ordinary, save for a small, fissure-like passage that exuded an air of danger, particularly the marshy area that inexplicably lay within the mountain. Upon reaching the base of Sheeping Mountain, Yu Xia and his companions breathed a sigh of relief. This territory belonged to Sheeping Mountain, home to a dozen or so brothers, each possessing considerable strength. Even if someone were to follow them, they would likely never return. Let us proceed, but be careful not to stray. The traps here seem to have been enhanced, making them even more lethal, Yu Xia remarked, stepping cautiously into the marshy area, pausing intermittently and occasionally retracing his steps, before finally entering the passage after a full minute. Following him, Wu Ernyang and a burly man with a full beard mirrored Yu Xia's careful approach into the passage. As they traversed, Lin Huang began to exhibit a look of suspicion. Once Wu Ernyang crossed the marsh, he started murmuring to himself. When the trio had fully entered the passage, Lin Huang made his presence known. "Brother, what were you just reciting?" Xiaoyu inquired with curiosity. Lin Huang glanced at the marshy area ahead and replied, "There lies a trap, or rather, an illusionary formation." "An illusionary formation?" Xiaoyu asked, perplexed. The individuals who recently departed traversed the 8 directional positions of the Bagua, each corresponding to a predetermined number of steps. I was meticulously counting these steps, for a misstep in either position or direction could potentially lead to dire consequences. "Oh." Xiaoyu nodded and remarked, "I completely don't understand." Lin Huang gently patted Xiaoyu's small head, chuckling. "All right, just follow my lead." Chapter 27. A Hidden Paradise. Lin Huang encouraged Xiaoyu to maintain pace with him. The mysteries of ancient Chinese culture are plentiful. Take, for instance, this formation, an enigma that eludes scientific explanation. Although merely a year has passed in this era, the extraordinary has already manifested in ways beyond common imagination, such as the awakening phenomenon. There have been attempts to offer scientific interpretations, yet the conclusions invariably resemble mere folly. As Lin Huang advanced with his peculiar gait, the duo safely reached the passageway. Upon crossing the marsh, Xiaoyu, intrigued, tossed a stone into the mire, expecting some unusual reaction, yet nothing transpired. "Is there nothing remarkable about this marsh? It seems to be feigning mystery," Xiaoyu remarked, pursing her lips. The stone was an inherent part of this locale, devoid of any energy or life fluctuations. "If I am not mistaken, this marsh was likely crafted by someone awakened with the Qi Min talent, achieving at least a B grade. It appears we must exercise caution," Lin Huang stated. Xiaoyu, her eyes darting, contemplated throwing a core into the marsh to test if an energetic object could induce a transformation, but Lin Huang intervened. Their visit was meant to be discreet, and should they stir up too much commotion, they risked alarming the proverbial snake in the grass, jeopardizing their plans and potentially placing themselves in peril. However, Lin Huang now comprehended why Sheeping Mountain had proven so challenging to eradicate in his previous life. It harbored individuals awakened with special Qi Min attributes. Such talents are exceedingly peculiar, and the Qi Min attribute itself is classified as A grade. It can be said that any awakening associated with ancient Chinese civilization is at least B grade, with the majority being A grade. Lin Huang once encountered an individual awakened with ancient martial attributes, an exceedingly rare S-grade talent. This person was the foremost champion of the central base of China, an embodiment of martial prowess that surpassed even the most exaggerated tales from centuries past. This individual had mastered all martial arts known at the time. Lin Huang was fortunate enough to witness this person's combat prowess firsthand. With a single strike, he unleashed over 180 golden dragons, obliterating an entire horde of undead beasts, including an S-grade beast that was reduced to mere dust without so much as a counterattack. It was said that this martial art was known as the 18 Dragon Subduing Palms, yet Lin Huang's understanding of it was far less grandiose. Subsequently, the individual engaged in further battles, employing a succession of legendary martial techniques such as the 6 Meridians Sword, the Wave-Walking Step, the 9 Swords of Dugu, the 9 Yang Divine Skill, and the unparalleled supremacy of the heavens and earth. Each display was breathtaking. One cannot help but wonder why this individual with Qi Min attributes has become an adversary to humanity. Those awakened with traditional Chinese attributes are notoriously formidable. If only they could be swayed to the side of righteousness, it would undoubtedly be the most favorable outcome. Now, I fear that the person's thoughts have completely transformed, rendering persuasion impossible. Entering, I wish to behold the fabled Sheeping Mountain and discover the true nature of this den of dragons and tigers. Lin Huang stepped into the passage, and soon after, a furtive figure emerged. Lin Huang possessed a keen awareness of counter-surveillance, yet at this level, detecting Gu Yi, who bore the shadow attribute, was rather improbable, unless Gu Yi chose to reveal himself intentionally. Moreover, this region was replete with mountains, as long as Gu Yi deliberately traversed the shadows. Even an A-level could struggle to spot him. It was worth noting that A-level individuals were scarce, most being newly awakened powers who would hardly bother to track someone like Gu Yi. However, Gu Yi was presently troubled, to prevent Lin Huang from discovering him. He deliberately followed at a considerable distance, failing to discern how Lin Huang and the others navigated the marsh. Now, standing before the swamp, he wore a frown, lifting his feet repeatedly without daring to step down, meandering about like a lost puppy. Sheeping Mountain, once a stronghold of bandits, had been relatively peaceful under the control of the Huaxia government. Yet now, in this apocalyptic era, one could only wonder how it might have transformed. This presented an opportunity. If it were possible to eradicate it directly, surely the boss would not object. But how to gain entry? Gu Yi muttered to himself. Not all assassins are taciturn. Take him, for instance, whose greatest passion was self-dialogue. He had long been observant of Sheeping Mountain, a notorious bandit lair in the northwest. Despite Huaxia's tranquility, shadows lurked behind the sun, harboring filth that the government would not eliminate entirely. If they were too ruthless, these individuals could resort to anything. Yet, under appropriate pressure, they could be relatively compliant. In this apocalypse, however, the dynamics shifted. Such individuals often posed the greatest threat. At least, this was Gu Yi's belief. As he pondered how to infiltrate Sheeping Mountain, Lin Huang and the others had already laid eyes upon a stronghold. This place differed significantly from his expectations, causing Lin Huang to furrow his brow. After navigating the winding passage, he found before him a quaint village-like area. They appeared to be situated on the mountainside, surrounded by distant, undulating peaks, enveloping the locale in a vast basin. Below and above the mountainside were patches of terraced fields, with farmhouse structures ascending in layers akin to these terraces. Lin Huang even noticed farmers passing by with hoes, heading to work in the fields. Was this place truly untouched by infection? Breathing in the fresh air of this locale, Lin Huang exclaimed in astonishment. The environmental conditions of this era were notoriously dire, and yet here, vast expanses of green terraces flourished. Would one not be astonished? To my astonishment, such a place harbors a den of bandits. Perhaps, had the Huaxia base not been destroyed, this locale might have thrived alongside its inhabitants. Lin Huang could discern that the farmers here were predominantly unawakened commoners. Outside, such ordinary folk have nearly perished, as the external world is perilously treacherous. Yet in this area, the threat of corpse beasts is not as pronounced, allowing the common people to thrive in relative peace. This is a sanctuary, and Lin Huang is reluctant to disrupt its tranquility. It appears that caution is warranted for this operation, he mused. Brother, where did those people go? Xiao Yu inquired. I do not know, Lin Huang replied, shaking his head. He had not anticipated that the world within was so expansive. The trail of Yoxia and his companions had vanished, meaning he had lost them. What shall we do now? Xiao Yu asked. No worries, the path lies in inquiry. We shall simply ask around, Lin Huang responded. Xiao Yu nodded, though he did not fully grasp why the road beneath their feet would be found in the mouths of others. Yet he understood that Lin Huang intended to seek directions. Excuse me, good sir, may I ask? As Lin Huang ascended, he discovered a terraced field with individuals laboring within. Chapter 28. Duanmu Hua. He retrieved a cigarette from his pocket, taken from the safe house, and offered one to the elder farmer, describing the appearance of Yoxia and his companions. Initially, the elder exhibited some wariness towards outsiders, but once the cigarette was lit, his guard fell away. Although outsiders were uncommon here, they did occasionally appear. Oh, I've seen them. Those rascals live atop the hill. They spend their days idling about. Especially that Wu family's second daughter. She is nearly 25 and still without a partner, always mingling with a group of older men. One wonders what she is thinking. That girl, while a bit rough around the edges, is still rather fair. The lad from old Zhang's family is quite taken with her. I even played matchmaker for them. The elder spoke with great enthusiasm, and Lin Huang swiftly expressed his gratitude before continuing his ascent. If he lingered, the elder might invite him home for a meal. The working class is often exceedingly hospitable. Clearly, the elder provided ample detail. Lin Huang had not expected to encounter someone familiar with Yoxia while seeking their whereabouts. In such a mountain village, with merely 100 households, it was reasonable that everyone would know one another. At the summit, a village reminiscent of those depicted in television dramas stood proudly. Yoxia and his companions, bearing the unconscious Lu Mengmeng and the lifeless Bai Li Sun, entered through the village gate. The village was sizable, though its dilapidated structures suggested neglect in times of peace. Not everyone is inclined towards a life of banditry. Presently, only a few decent houses remained, housing fewer than 20 residents in total. These individuals represent the entirety of the awakened talents within this village, all gathered together by a young man named Duanmu Hua, who proclaimed a desire to accomplish great deeds. Among them, Duanmu Hua possesses considerable strength, and his words are met with willingness to listen. The youthful exuberance of these individuals makes them particularly susceptible to manipulation. At this moment, Duanmu Hua, referred to as the boss, was engrossed in his craft, wielding a large brush to create calligraphy. It is rather remarkable that a man in his 20s has developed a fondness for this art, marking him as an unusual figure among the modern youth. Despite his calligraphy resembling the chaotic scrawl of a beetle coated in ink. Brother Bai Li has fallen. He has been killed, someone announced as they entered. Wu Ernyang placed Bai Li Sun's lifeless body on the ground and approached Duanmu Hua's table to drink from a cup, gulping down the liquid within. Bai Li is dead. What transpired? In an instant, a powerful wave of energy surged from Duanmu Hua, far surpassing that of an ordinary B-level individual. He was too greedy, attempting to seize treasure. The assailant was slightly less formidable than Brother Bai, yet his combat skills were likely superior. That fellow managed to deceive Bai Li with 2 energy blasts. Yu Xia recounted the events succinctly. Upon hearing this, Duanmu Hua's demeanor slightly softened. I have always warned that the outside world is perilous, especially now that the tide of corpses has erupted. Our primary concern at Sheeping Village is no longer humanity, except for those unscrupulous individuals. Bai Li had always been rather aggressive. This incident serves as a significant lesson, albeit a costly one. Duanmu Hua shook his head in dismay. In truth, Duanmu Hua seldom concerned himself with the affairs of the mountain, as the inhabitants enjoyed an extreme sense of freedom. Rumors circulated that the youth on the mountain were subdued by Duanmu Hua's martial prowess and brainwashed into remaining there. However, this accusation was deeply unjust. These individuals were simply reluctant to engage in farming, choosing instead to occasionally hunt the undead beasts and earn more by selling their cores than they would by toiling in the fields. All right, let us leave Bai Li to Master Yi. Oh, and by the way, Ernyang, what you just drank was my brush-cleaning water. Duanmu Hua waved his hand and remarked. What? Upon hearing Duanmu Hua's words, Wu Ernyang gasped, her eyes turning crimson as she lifted her hammer to strike. Curse you, Duanmu Hua. Do not dare to wash your brushes under my covers again. Caught off guard, Duanmu Hua was struck on the head by the hammer, sending him flying in an elegant arc. Goodness, my dear aunt, your strength has increased. Be careful, or no one will dare to approach you. Duanmu Hua exclaimed. What? It's fine, boss, I want it. Yu Xia, carrying Bai Li Sun, turned back with a grin, only to be met with Wu Ernyang's hammer. Fortunately, Yu Xia was nimble enough to evade the blow. Otherwise, it might have left him severely injured. All right, Ernyang, I must visit that peculiar old fellow. Honestly, how can you strike me while I am engaged in such tasks? If I were to be incapacitated, the boss would certainly send you in my stead. The shrimp, in a hurry, spoke up, and upon hearing his words, Wu Ernyang indeed ceased her actions, as if they both shared an aversion to the individual known as Master Yi. Behind the stronghold lay a small bamboo grove, within which stood an opulent villa, a striking contrast to the architecture found in the mountainous regions. This old fellow truly knew how to indulge in life's pleasures. The shrimp, burdened with the weight of Bai Li Sun, found himself hesitating at the garden's entrance, wary of what traps might await him inside Master Yi's abode. To enter recklessly could lead to an untimely demise, leaving him oblivious to the cause of his end. Just as the shrimp prepared to call out to Master Yi, a hand clapped upon his shoulder. You little shrimp, what are you doing? Standing at my door. Peering about. Are you plotting to steal something? The shrimp turned to find an elderly gentleman, plump and clad in traditional Chinese attire, standing before him. The old man's garments, a resplendent crimson robe adorned with embroidered clouds and dragons, bespoke considerable wealth, yet his hair was disheveled, and he sported a pair of basketball shoes that seemed utterly out of place, leaving a rather disheartening impression. Ah, Master Yi, the shrimp gasped, startled. Though he dared not react too dramatically, for within the confines of Master Yi's realm, every move required utmost caution. Humph, hold your tongue, Master Yi remarked, his gaze fixed upon the lifeless form of Bai Li Sun. After a prolonged silence, he sighed deeply. Bai Li, this youth harbored too much hatred in his heart and acted impulsively. I did not anticipate his swift demise. Very well, hand me the body of Bai Li, and you may go. With that, Master Yi extended his hand, seizing Bai Li Sun's corpse, prompting the shrimp to scurry away without delay. Meanwhile, Lin Huang was truly on the verge of cursing. He had infiltrated Duanmu Hua's stronghold, and to be candid, the
The security measures in place were rather subpar. Just as Lin Huang, accompanied by Xiao Yu, stealthily approached the entrance of a two-story building, a sudden, resounding crash echoed from the direction he had entered. Chapter 29. Exposure. At that moment, Duanmu Hua was engrossed in his calligraphy, savoring the beauty of his art, when the loud noise abruptly jolted him from his reverie. There was no ignoring it. That sound signified the activation of the mountain defense formation. As the leader of Shiping Stronghold, Duanmu Hua had no choice but to investigate. Stepping outside, he nearly collided with Lin Huang, who was peering through the door's crack, but fortunately, Lin Huang had taken cover upon hearing the crash. However, while he evaded Duanmu Hua, he could not escape the shrimp returning from the back mountain. Boss, it was this guy. He killed Bai Li's son. Huh. Lin Huang was momentarily stunned, his gaze shifting in shock to the even more horrified shrimp, who was now pointing a finger at him. Good heavens, what dreadful luck. Seeing a dozen individuals emerge from nearby houses, Lin Huang erupted in curses, leaping to his feet, ready to flee. However, upon observing the 10 or so individuals, Lin Huang noted that 8 or 9 of them were merely at the E rank, with only the shrimp oil Wu Ernyang and the burly man standing at D rank. The only one who appeared somewhat threatening was the bewildered young man before him. Lin Huang could hardly believe that this was the foundation of the illustrious Shiping Mountain in the future. Such a feeble assembly left Lin Huang astonished. Was there perhaps a hidden force yet to be revealed? As Lin Huang surveyed his surroundings, it seemed that indeed, this was all the might that Shiping Mountain possessed. Could it be that the imposing young man before him was the one who had set up the formation at the mountain pass? Lin Huang exchanged glances with Duanmu Hua. If that were the case, he felt emboldened to confront them. It would be best if these individuals could abandon their bandit ways. However, if the notion of being bandits had taken root in their minds, Lin Huang might have no choice but to unleash a massacre today. You are the one who has killed hundreds? Duanmu Hua approached Lin Huang, his demeanor imbued with a hint of audacity. Surrounded by our Shiping Mountain brethren, you remain unfazed. Huh? Change color? How should one change color? From white to yellow, perhaps? Lin Huang retorted with a smile. Duanmu Hua was taken aback for a moment, then chuckled. You truly possess a sense of humor. I am not here for jest. I have come to Shiping Mountain to speak with your leader, Lin Huang asserted. Speak. Have you lost your mind? Our brothers, and you wish to converse with me? Huh. However, since you have the audacity to ascend the mountain, I shall grant you an opportunity. Defeat me, and I will allow your departure. Lose, and you shall forfeit your life. Duanmu Hua stepped forward, exuding an aura of power. Indeed, he was at B rank. Lin Huang narrowed his eyes, envisioning the scenario. The fluctuations of energy emanating from Duanmu Hua were extraordinarily potent, surpassing that of an average B rank. Yet, given the purity of that energy, Lin Huang could still confirm that Duanmu Hua was indeed B rank, albeit among the elite of that tier. The sheer magnitude of his power nearly equaled that of 2 or 3 ordinary B ranks. Very well, let us engage. However, upon your defeat, I have a request, Lin Huang declared. Huh, you have a request? Such commendable courage. Yet, for a mere C rank, your boldness is quite reckless. How about this? Both of you shall face me together, Duanmu Hua proclaimed with confidence. Huh, Lin Huang chuckled. Just be sure you won't regret it. As soon as the words left his lips, Lin Huang launched himself towards Duanmu Hua with remarkable speed. Duanmu Hua's eyes widened. Lin Huang's velocity was indeed astonishing. But Duanmu Hua's strength was no laughing matter. Here I come, Duanmu Hua shouted, releasing a faint glow that seemed to split the air as he unleashed a powerful punch, accompanied by a thunderous roar aimed directly at Lin Huang. In a swift maneuver, Lin Huang evaded the lethal blow, his hair whipped by the violent wind, and a few strands were even torn away. What a terrifying fist technique. This fellow had certainly trained rigorously. Lin Huang instantly recognized that this individual had likely practiced martial arts even before awakening, far surpassing the average person in skill. Duanmu Hua could hardly believe that a mere C-level opponent could evade his lightning-fast punch. You have piqued my interest, he exclaimed, as fissures began to spread across his arms, and his energy surged with even greater ferocity. Lin Huang, like a fragile reed amidst tumultuous waves, swayed perilously with the surging currents, seemingly in danger yet untouched by the chaos around him. The two engaged in a fierce exchange. Duanmu Hua's fists kept Lin Huang on constant alert, while Lin Huang's sharp blades instilled a sense of mortal threat in Duanmu Hua. Onlookers were astonished to witness their formidable leader, perceived as invincible, embroiled in such a fierce and evenly matched struggle with an outsider of C-level status. After a prolonged bout, both combatants were drenched in sweat. Such an intense clash at their level would typically culminate within the span of a mere smoke break. Yet these two had persisted for an entire tea session. It was evident that both were nearing their limits. their movements becoming increasingly sluggish. Lin Huang had resorted to an unusual breathing technique to stabilize his condition, while the radiant cracks in Duanmu Hua's arms had long since converged. Lin Huang's attire was tattered by the force of Duanmu Hua's punches, his hair in disarray, and his face marred with bruises from the relentless blows. Duanmu Hua, too, bore numerous wounds across his arms, thighs, and face, particularly a grievous injury near his waist that nearly compromised his kidney. As the battle reached its climax, the luminosity emanating from Duanmu Hua's hands faded, and Lin Huang's dagger slipped from his grasp, sent flying by a kick from Duanmu Hua. The two exhausted fighters, devoid of strength, grappled like two brutish warriors, with the more robust Duanmu Hua gaining the upper hand. "Brother, do you need assistance?" Xiao Yu shouted. Duanmu Hua was simultaneously challenging two opponents, and it was reasonable for Xiao Yu to intervene. However, Lin Huang had refrained from allowing their meeting to escalate into a full confrontation. Upon hearing Xiao Yu's voice, Duanmu Hua's heart raced with panic. He had forgotten about the young girl nearby. Although she appeared weak, in his current state of exhaustion, even a less powerful awakened individual could pose a considerable threat. Together, they would surely overpower him. Duanmu Hua lamented his miscalculation, never imagining that a sea-level Lin Huang could deplete his vast reserves of strength through sheer speed. An entire tea session had passed. Who fights for that long? Am I in a film? "You stay put and watch how I deal with this hulking oaf," Lin Huang declared. Duanmu Hua was taken aback, not expecting Lin Huang to forego his advantage and engage him directly. In that fleeting moment of hesitation, the previously subdued Lin Huang swiftly lowered his stance, his fingers converging to strike at Duanmu Hua's ribcage. A jolt of excruciating pain coursed through Duanmu Hua, causing him to lose his balance. Seizing the opportunity, Lin Huang performed a swift roll, retrieved the dagger from the ground, and poised the sharp blade against Duanmu Hua's carotid artery. Chapter 30. Not a bandit. Duanmu Hua gazed at Lin Huang, who lay on the ground, gasping for breath with a dagger in hand. "You've won, just leave," he said. "Huh, you're exhausted now, yet my sister is also a C-class. She could easily sweep through your ranks. Why should I leave?" Lin Huang replied with a smile. "How dare you?" Duanmu Hua abruptly sat up. "Enough. I merely stated my intent. My primary objective is to urge you to disband this place. With the corpses roaming freely, you still resort to banditry, harming humanity. It is utterly shameless of you. Should you refuse to disband, know that my words are not to be taken lightly. Who the hell is committing banditry? Have you been watching too much television?" Duanmu Hua retorted angrily. Lin Huang paused, realizing the situation was not as he had imagined. Was it possible that, centuries ago, Sheeping Mountain was indeed a bandit den? "You are not bandits?" "Bandits, my foot. Look at them. Do they resemble bandits?" Duanmu Hua exclaimed. Lin Huang turned to observe the youthful faces surrounding him, and it dawned on him that these individuals were merely teenagers, some even still minors. "So, the bandits of Sheeping Mountain are..." Lin Huang faltered, feeling he had made a significant error in judgment. Who could have known? Until now, no one has laid eyes on those rascals. In this era of peace, how could they still engage in banditry? These youngsters are merely play-acting, thinking it's cool. If they actually attempted robbery, their parents would surely discipline them severely. "But this village," Lin Huang began. "Can't you see it's all in ruins?" Duanmu Hua snapped. "Then you intend to kill me?" Lin Huang inquired. "Are you out of your mind? What do you think I'm doing? Besides, I never truly wished to kill you," Duanmu Hua replied. "And I killed Bai Li Sun, but he is not really dead," Lin Huang stated. But Duanmu Hua suddenly fell silent, exclaiming, "Damn it, get lost. You are not welcome here." He stood up, urging them to leave. "Wait," Lin Huang interjected. He could not believe that Sheeping Mountain truly held no bandits. After all, even in times of peace, there were still smugglers and lawbreakers lingering about, their hideouts undiscovered. Since he had ventured in, he was determined to seek clarity. "What is the matter?" Duanmu Hua asked. "I wish to find the true bandits. In this apocalypse, I do not want those scoundrels to thrive, believing themselves to be the bane of humanity," Lin Huang declared. I never anticipated you harbored such lofty ideals." Duanmu Hua scoffed, but then his expression shifted to one of pain, his eyes reddening. "If I could find them, would it even be your place to pursue them?" Duanmu Hua suddenly shouted, "You should know that my father was killed by those rascals." Despite his usual carefree demeanor, Duanmu Hua had been secretly investigating their whereabouts since the era of peace. Lin Huang seemed to perceive something. If possible, having an additional ally might prove advantageous. "I believe my abilities will not be a burden," Lin Huang remarked. Duanmu Hua glanced at Lin Huang, and after a prolonged silence, he turned and said, "Rest for a while to conserve your strength. Tonight, I shall take you to a certain place." Pausing momentarily, Duanmu Hua added, "I hope what you said is indeed true." Outside the mountains, Gu Yi had finally traversed the unfortunate swamp. Of course, having forcibly pushed through,
He emerged covered in dirt and grime, having significantly underestimated the swamp's perils. Had it not been for his shadow attribute allowing him to traverse the shadows, he would have surely met a dire fate. Unbeknownst to Gui, his reckless intrusion nearly led to Lin Huang's demise. He failed to notice that, following a loud crash, the original passageway had undergone some alterations, yet he walked in unaware. That night, Duanmu Hua sought out Lin Huang, who had since recovered, clad in his legendary attire. Lin Huang accompanied Duanmu Hua along a forest path until they reached a relatively open area. Duanmu Hua ignited a fire and took a seat. "What are we doing?" Lin Huang inquired. "We wait for some creatures. They will guide us to a place I have yet to find. I suspect those individuals are there," Duanmu Hua replied. He had scoured this area thoroughly, convinced there was nothing left undiscovered. Yet after the apocalypse descended, new creatures had emerged behind the mountain, as if they had entered from another realm. Duanmu Hua had previously hunted some corpse beasts in this forest and was certain that a passage unknown to most existed beyond it. However, his own strength was insufficient to navigate it alone. Now, with Lin Huang's willingness to assist, Duanmu Hua decided to enlist him in this search. After a prolonged wait, a rustling sound emanated from deep within the woods. Duanmu Hua became alert and informed Lin Huang, "Something is approaching." "What is it?" Lin Huang responded, equally vigilant. "Wolves. We have never had wolves here. Even if animals had transformed into corpse beasts, wolves should not be among them," Duanmu Hua explained. "This aura resembles that of a wind attribute mutated corpse wolf. How is it possible that there are naturally occurring corpse beasts in this region?" Lin Huang exclaimed, astonished by the existence of such a rarity. It was not that naturally occurring corpse beasts were inherently powerful. Each corpse beast possessed varying strengths, but rather that those of the natural attribute were exceedingly rare. Furthermore, slaying such creatures provided awakened humans with greater enhancements compared to other attributes. In the future, these naturally occurring corpse beasts would almost face extinction. The rustling grew ever closer. Illuminated by the firelight, the appearance of the wind attribute mutated corpse wolf became visible. Its size was comparable to that of a typical coyote or gray wolf, with slightly elongated limbs, rendering it appear more agile and swift. Its eyes glimmered like ghostly flames in the dark, and its pale gray fur shimmered with a faint green glow under the firelight, sending a chill down one's spine. These wolves not only retain the ferocity inherent to their kind, but upon their demise, they transform into fearsome undead beasts, evolving to possess lethal toxins that permeate their claws, teeth, and even their fur. At the forefront stands a particularly large wind wolf, emanating a soft azure glow. This is a manifestation of toxins at their zenith. Even more astonishing than the virulent green miasma. Behold, the leader of these wind wolves. A pack of these creatures constitutes a formidable force. Even a small team would face certain death upon encountering them. Without warning, the leader unleashed a blade of wind from its maw, revealing itself to be a rare undead beast capable of wielding skills, a rarity comparable to the bloodthirsty tiger of leader caliber. This wind blade bore a faint green hue, unmistakably toxic. Simultaneously, the winds surged around, as if invisible ropes sought to ensnare Duanmu Hua and Lin Huang.